And we're live.
We are live. What up, Fightful fam? Welcome to your UFC Vegas 18. Man, there's been a lot of these. Main card watch along, Alistair Overeem, Alexander Volkov in the main event. It's actually a pretty stacked card from here moving forward. But first, let's give a quick shout out. Steve, Juan, chilling with me here.
I'm in the house with Shaq Fu, the legend reborn.
Yes. Steve, Joanne, and I bailing me out, quite honestly, because I was on vacation, and at the last minute, I'm like, crap, I did not think that we have a watch along today. So thank you for being here with me. I'm looking forward to not talking to myself for the next 3 hours.
Trust me, I know how that is, because I've had my co-host bail on me with a migraine headache, and then it's like, oh crap, I've got to talk about these fights for an hour with nobody to bounce the walls off of. So it's tough at times, but yeah. It's better when you have a co-host. It's always more fun.
Shout out to Alex Pulowski, who does the Sour Graps podcast over at Fightful Pro Wrestling. It's like one of the best one-man shows in pro wrestling, and I don't know how he does it because it's something I am not capable of doing.
Yeah, Carl Stern over at Wrestling Observer, he's incredible at that too. Like, some people just have that gift for gab where they can talk all by themselves.
For sure. But here we are, fortunately, with company. Guys, hit us up in the live chat. We're streaming to Fightful MMA's YouTube, Fightful on Facebook, taking over Sean Ross Sapp's Twitter as well as my own. Hit us up anywhere you like. Yeah, I gotta steal the boss's connect whenever you can.
Sorry, Sean, we're hijacking your feed for the night.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. So hit us up in the live chat. If you're on YouTube, guys, leave a super chat donation. That goes a really long way to help and fund everything that we're trying to do over here at Fightful MMA. Plus, subscribe, like, all that stuff gets more eyeballs on our show and our channel.
Share the tweet, share the retweet, be promoting it. Do what you can.
Do everything for us. Be the marketing team that I so desperately need.
Marketing and publicity. We want it for free. Help us out here.
Yes, sir. Okay.
While we're waiting, we got to plug MMA Mania as well, because I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for them. So shout out to the Maniacs over at MMA Mania.
Yes, and shout out to them for housing my work at one time as well. A great place. One of my... they're the ones who sent me over to UFC 241, UFC 244, all this great stuff. So shout out to those guys. We got
Caleb Hawkeye JK1 in the chat room right now.
Yes, Caleb, how's it going? Thank you for being with us as always. It's nice to have you here. Steve, let's run down super quick main card. Give me your, and I'm going to hold these. You're going to be accountable here. Give me your quick picks, winners for each of the main card fights.
Well, assuming that I've got the correct main card and nobody got struck down by COVID today, that starts with Mike Rodriguez and Danilo Marquez. Yes. I like Mark Rodriguez in that fight. I feel like he's got a interesting opponent here for him. He's not done super great in the last 4 fights, but one of those was overturned due to a no contest, so maybe don't count that against him. I think this will be his chance to shine, pardon me. Carlos Diego Ferreira has an interesting fight as well coming up with Beneil Dariush. Now, if Dariush can get it to the ground, I would favor him to get a submission, and he's on a roll lately with 5 straight wins, including one over rising lightweight Drew Dober. So I'll go with Dariush, but Ferreira shouldn't be counted out easily because he is number 10 in the rankings. So he's on a bit of a win streak himself with 6 wins over some really good guys. You know, Jared Gordon, Alvin Mercier, Merabak Taizamov. So it's a toss-up, but I'll narrowly edge to Dariush, despite whatever the odds makers might be saying. Alexandre Pantoja and Manel Cape. I think we have to find out what Cape is made of in this fight, because we know he's good from Ryzen Fighting Federation.
Yes.
But we got to see how he performs at the UFC level. So I have to favor Pantoja because he's a former contender, but Cape could shock us all in this one. Michael Johnson and Clay Guida, 2 of the most stalwart lightweights in the division, seemingly been around for ages now. Guida especially. I was covering fight nights for Guida for Wrestling Observer back in the 2000s, so I know he's been around a long time.
I was just talking to who was on the 1-2 Punch live stream on Friday? I can't believe it was just yesterday, and I am already forgetting. But how could I forget Farah Hanoun of MMA Junkie? What's wrong with me? I was saying Clay Guida has been fighting since I was in elementary school. So as far as I'm concerned, so long as that man has a robust head of hair, he will be part of the fight game.
Yeah, you can see his hair flowing whether he's winning a fight or not. It's always bouncing around just like he is. So he's a fun fighter to watch, and whether or not he gets the win, I'm looking forward to that fight. But I'm thinking at this point that maybe there's a little more upside on Michael Johnson based on Guida's most recent fights. I mean, neither one of them has done overly well of late. Johnson has lost 3 in a row, but if I had to pick between two guys who are looking at the short end of a release list and UFC just cut a dozen fighters, I feel like Johnson will bring it in this one, but emotionally my heart is with Guida, so I'd actually hope for the opposite. Cory Sandhagen, Frankie Edgar, this is another one where I feel like there's a lot on the line here. As I said to my co-host Peter H on Glove Up or Shut Up, this could be the last chance for Frankie Edgar to get into title contention because he's gone down from lightweight to featherweight to bantamweight. I don't see him getting down to flyweight, Shaq. Do you? I don't think he can make a cut to 125.
I'm not confident about that.
No, so he's got to win against Sandhagen, but Sandhagen has some very devastating striking for the bantamweight class. He's got a Marlon Moraes style knockout power where if he lands, it's over. So I hate picking against Frankie Edgar, so I'm not gonna. But the writing's on the wall. If he doesn't win this fight, he may just want to call it a day. Not that he will, but he should at least entertain it if he can't be Cory Sandhagen. Main event, we've got 2 former champions, a Strikeforce champion and a Bellator champion, meeting in a UFC cage. When did you ever think you were going to see that happen?
I mean, after Michael Chandler knocking the boots off Dan Hooker at UFC 257, it's nice to see the sort of amalgamation of MMA promotions at the highest level. But it is really insane. Just go, I had Alistair Overeem's Team Elevation squad mate Drew Dober go through a list of Overeem's UFC opponents and rank them by quality. And we
shout out to Dober. He's an Omaha guy like me.
Shout out to Dober, the most handsome man out of Dober, out of the area right behind you, of course. And we had to limit it to his UFC opponents because when you look at the overall body of work that Overeem has conducted in MMA, just MMA, ignore kickboxing, it's insane. We're talking like all the heavyweights that you're aware of, Brock Lesnar, Stipe Miocic, Mark Hunt, etc., but it goes all the way to like Shogun Rua and Little Nog, and I think even Chuck Liddell's somewhere in there, Vitor Belfort. It's truly insane what Overeem still manages to accomplish.
Right, and that's why you can't count Alistair Overeem out, especially the new and improved Alistair Overeem, because the old story was he'd be great for 2.5 minutes and then he'd run out of gas because he's so big and muscular. But we've seen him go 5 rounds now. We know that he has learned from his time at Elevation how to develop a cardio and to keep something in reserve for the later rounds. So
sure.
My thinking is Volkov owns him in the height and the reach, but he's got to know that in the deep waters, it's not an automatic gimme for him. He's got to work hard to get Overeem out of there as fast as he can. And if it goes the distance, I believe it favors Overeem. And I never thought I would have said that.
It's crazy to think. Yeah, I like your choices. So I'm trying to multitask here unsuccessfully. I'm going to lean Overeem, Sandhagen, Pantoja. I'm going to sentimentally say Dariush. I'm not confident in that pick. He's just by far like the nicest guy I've ever met in the sport. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's where I'm going to go with it. And then which fight am I missing? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, we've still got Carlos Diego Ferreira and Beneil Dariush.
Mike Rodriguez. And I'll take Mike Rodriguez too. I feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah, Rodriguez over Marquez. I'm pretty confident in that too.
Okay, here we go. Main card opener starting. This was supposed to be on the prelims, but it got bumped up after Askar had to bail.
At least he didn't bail out of a hotel window and give his little band to somebody else.
Isn't that just the most insane thing?
What was Ottoman Azatar thinking? I don't understand that at all.
And what was in the bag?
That's what we're never going to find out. If they know, they're not going to tell us.
No. But, tis the sport we decided to cover for a living.
It's not even the wackiest thing I've seen covering this sport. I've seen some crazy shit.
I'm not sure it's the wackiest thing I saw in the last 12 months. So it's just part of the game. All right, guys, I promise I will have my full undivided attention on this fight soon. I can already tell people are like, Shaq, why aren't you looking at the screen? Well, guys, I'm trying to stay employed. that requires me to do multiple things at once. I'm actually quite surprised. Steve, can you read and write at the same time? That's the one thing I can't do.
Yeah, I kind of
or talk. What is that? I can't remember. I don't think I can. I'm doing it. I'm not really doing it. I don't think I could hold a conversation while writing at the same time.
I've had some practice because I've done a lot of live recaps of pro wrestling on angrymarks.com. So I've kind of learned to hold a conversation with people in the room while at the same time covering a live pay-per-view. So I got some practice over the years of covering many different WWE events.
Yeah, I can do some like editing, but that's basically about it. Which is what is happening right now. So
we got a ring card girl showing us it's time for the first round. That's all we're getting. And both fighters are shaking out their muscles and getting warmed up, ready to go. And we're off. Marquez with the yellow trunks, Rodriguez with the red.
Look at you, man. You got this commentary gig down.
Well, he was going for a single leg takedown there, but Rodriguez stuffed it fairly successfully. He's still digging for it. And down they go. We've got Marquez on top in the full guard. See if he can improve his position from there. Rodriguez is trying to posture up. Nope. Couldn't get off his back. Oh, I don't know if that happened on your end, but my feed just like froze and skipped for a second. It like jumped over 1 second of the fight.
Oh, what are you at right now?
4:10 in the first round left to go.
4:10 in the first round.
Marquez has the legs grapevined and he's smacking Rodriguez with right hands, but Rodriguez is getting back to his feet.
All right, shout out to ESPN Plus. Even though I think I'm a few seconds ahead of yours actually. So
wow,
this is what we'll do. And guys, if you're watching, there is a delay between when we talk and when the stream hits your feed. So you will probably in real time see like a knockout 10 seconds or so before we do. But
yeah, if we react to it late, don't get freaked out.
No, but okay, I just stopped my stream at 3:30. Tell me when yours hits 3:30.
3:30 now.
Okay.
They're just stalling against the fence basically at this point. Think Marquez might be trying to trip the leg and get him back to the ground. Nope. No dice.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to do that one more time when you hit 3 minutes on the dot, okay?
Sure. 3 minutes now.
Okay. Well, you're a couple seconds ahead of me now. That's okay. I almost sweated too much.
And we're down to the ground again.
Yep, there we are. If you can hit pause for like a second, I'll catch up. Just do like a
all right,
pause
let me
and play.
See if I can figure out where I put my remote here. Got one of those PlayStation 4 remotes to do this with. So pause, play. Okay, we should be good. Yeah, Marquez has side control.
He does indeed. All right, cool. I think we're synced up nicely now. I just got to move my tabs around so I can watch this like a normal person, not weave in my head. So what happens with me is I got a monitor on my left and a monitor on my right. But when I set up my studio lights, they're right in the center of where the left and rightmost monitors would be. So I'm basically blind if I look any way other than straight.
For me, I've just got the TV at the very back of my rec room, and I've got an overhead light behind me, so hopefully it's not too blinding.
No. I think everything's good on your end. Okay, let me hit up the chat a little bit, guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
I wonder if Caleb Hawkeye is an Iowa Hawkeye, because that would make him a rival of mine. But much respect to the Hawkeyes, because I always root for them when they're not playing Iowa State.
Well, speaking of which, Caleb is asking us, one of my 2 Canadian friends, please tell me you're pulling for a Chiefs win.
Yes,
I don't watch enough sports.
I am. Chiefs all the way. I never root for any team Tom Brady is the quarterback of.
Yeah, my sports in digestion is basically MMA, pro wrestling if you consider it, and then basketball when I can squeeze it in. Mostly those two. Shout out to the NBA; they do the best post match highlights.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the entire game squished into 10-20 minutes. You completely see all the momentum swings. You get a good sense of who's performing well. It is top tier.
Oh, and Caleb says that his name is actually Hawkeye from the Avengers. So he's not an Iowa Hawkeye. He's a Golden Gopher.
Yes, sir.
Shouts out also to Colby Feria, Donaldo Moran. We got quite a few people. Joseph Boza in the chat as well.
Hey, shout out to Joseph. Colby, I'm shocked by how much. Colby, how is it you're able to do our live chat, our live results write-ups, and comment on the YouTube live chat at the same time?
It's incredible multitasker, just incredible. Like
you. Seriously, you got 2 sets of keyboards. All right, okay. Let's take a look at the fight a little bit. Mike you see, I like it when Mike Rodriguez is standing. That's when MMA is fun.
Yeah, he got a nice body shot in there right at the end of the round. Those tend to pay dividends later.
Eventually, they will. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I need that tab.
And now we got all the plugs for the football game tomorrow.
All right, everyone wants to know whether I'm sitting or standing right now. I am standing. I do have the now unfortunately infamous toilet seat stool here. Whenever you guys, whenever I gotta take a break.
You got a nice collection of shotguns in the rack back there too.
Samurai swords.
Oh, couldn't quite tell. I thought those were rifles, but you're right, they're swords.
Bam. Yeah, no. Murica all the way. I think the regular viewer. This is so funny. It's like every time I have someone who I haven't had on the show before, this has to be a part of the conversation. But I basically just jacked my dad's various real and fake katanas so that Aaron Bronstetter would stop teasing me.
So basically, you can go full Onimusha Warriors on us at any time.
At any point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a good icebreaker. I had one guy repeatedly calling me a virgin until I explained to him the story behind these, and he liked me all of a sudden. I got a Twitter follow-up.
Isn't it funny how that works, right? You tell somebody you have katanas, maybe you get a little more respect.
Yeah, once they know it's real, that is.
Yeah. Oh, did you ever watch a YouTube channel called what is the name? Wang, Whang. You ever watch that channel?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, he had a story about the fake American ninja, the guy who saved somebody from getting raped on a subway because he had a katana and he threatened to pull it out, but he knew absolutely nothing about using a katana. So then he filmed himself training with it, and it was like the Star Wars kid,
Oh, I love the Star Wars kid.
Yeah, but sadly, this guy was trying to swim out to an island to film one of his videos training, and he drowned.
Oh, that's sad.
It's a sad tale, but it's definitely one of those internet urban legends. Was the fake ninja?
Love it. All right, this is thus far kind of slow for a Mike Rod fight for me. I'm just looking for him to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna do this, folks.
I mean, Marquez isn't making it easy for him because he keeps shooting for the legs, and he just got another takedown there.
No,
so
it's good. It's good work. It's just not what I'm particularly interested in seeing at this moment.
Well, everybody loves the stand and trade, right? I mean, That's what fighters always tell me when I interview them. Everybody starts standing.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, Donaldo, I'll check back in on the Canucks once they make a Stanley Cup final. At this point, I'm not going to hold my breath for anything less than playoff clinching game.
Well, you probably got a better chance of the Canucks making it to the Stanley Cup than I do the Red Wings.
I hope so. I still remember the Vancouver riots very, very fondly. What a amusing day that was in our city's history.
I was honestly stunned by that because I have so many friends in Canada, and I was like, I didn't think people rioted in Canada.
So that's the thing.
That was an American thing.
Oh, Marquez has full mount on Rodriguez against
yes,
the cage too. So you're not going to see Mike really escape from this position. In fact, wouldn't be surprised if they're stuck here for the remainder of the round.
Yeah, this could be a fight-stopping position if he gets mounted, postures up, and pours it on.
Yeah, my parents were in Montreal during one of the Montreal Stanley. I think it was after the Canadians won. There was a Stanley Cup riot there, and that was apparently like an intense one. Vancouver was just like people, but that's the Quebecois for you. They got rowdy.
I can attest to that because Peter and I went there for UFC 124, and that was a very rowdy crowd.
Yes, shout out to my my birth city of Montreal. But yeah, I think in Vancouver there's just like some people just chilling, ready to screw shit up. And they got their way,
see, that's the other thing is Vancouver has this reputation of being the cleanest city, the friendliest city, the safest city, and then boom, riots.
There you go. Yeah, Marquez seems kind of content here to sort of lay low on the mount so that Rodriguez can't really get any sort of space to perhaps hip out or push off. But
exactly what I was thinking. He doesn't want to posture up because then he feels like he could let Rodriguez get back to his feet. And that's exactly what's happening here. Rodriguez is using the wall to get back up.
Rodriguez is starting to look a little tired, though, carrying all this weight.
Yeah. He's taking some deep breaths against the cage there and getting smacked with some left hands. So that's only going to make it harder. And it looks like Marquez is trying to take the back. He's got one hook in.
So I was definitely not really paying attention for most of the first round. Was that a Marquez round or Rodriguez?
I think that was a Marquez round. I think Marquez is pretty comfortably ahead right now.
Okay, so we're looking at 2-0 from Mike, which is probably somewhere a lot of people didn't see him at.
No. I had predicted the exact opposite when you had me go over this. So I have to say I'm impressed with how Marquez has stifled his offense thus point in the fight.
Especially coming off of that Ed Herman loss because, talking about submission losses.
Yeah. That's in tight.
He's out. He's out.
Yeah. They're going to have to stop. It's over.
Wow, Mike Rodriguez goes out. Look, he's trying to stand up and can't.
No, he's totally without blood or oxygen. He's confused right now.
Now, Michael Chandler, I can tell you, would not be thrilled with this display of affection and compassion by.
No, Mike Chandler is a very man's man. He's like, no sympathy for you, none at all.
No. I get it though. Sometimes you may not want a hug from the man who just choked you unconscious.
No, I mean when he said that, I could understand his point.
Yeah. It's weird because with the Ed Herman loss, you gave Mike Rodriguez a lot of benefit of the doubt there because it was without a doubt a TKO win for him that the referee unfortunately called wrong, and after a bunch of confusion, Ed Herman gets a submission win. You kind of give him a break for that, but with this fight, I mean, man, he was just outclassed by a big underdog. It seems like he's really got some grappling deficits in his game that he's got to work out.
Yeah, the fact that he gets taken down on singles and doubles isn't necessarily devastating, but the fact that he didn't do much in the way of stifling those attempts, that he didn't seem to have any way to block it or counter it, that was a problem.
Exactly. And people are saying we're behind. Yes, it's going to happen. There's at the very least a 20-second delay from us to you guys. That's unfortunately the limitations of online. I was actually thinking about this the other day, like what a time it'll be when online streaming for like the everyday user is as instantaneous as like a live broadcast. Do you know what the delay is between like a live broadcast in house for the UFC and like when it hits the feed?
If it's anything like when I do YouTube streaming of my own, it's probably 20-25 seconds because whatever I'm doing I get reactions from the chat like, "Oh man," I'm like, "No, guys, no, I haven't seen it yet. No,
no spoilers, please." All right, Danilo Marquez, second round submission finish. Can't tell you I saw that one coming.
No, that's an upset, but it's a very quality win for Marquez. I think you never want to look bad in the opening fight of a main card broadcast, and the fact he choked him unconscious without him tapping out, that's definitely going to set the right tone for the UFC brass.
And can we say, like, when you look at this card on paper and you see headline Alistair Overeem versus Alex Volkov, now obviously you have a little bit of love because Overeem's on that card. He's such a legend of the sport. But honestly, that doesn't sound like the sort of fight that I would book my Saturday for if I wasn't, work obligated to do so. But when you look at the rest of the main card, it's actually pretty decent. Like, I think I'm surprised actually Cory Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar isn't the headliner.
See, that could be a UFC fight night all by itself, and they're kind of giving it away for the purpose of being number 2 on this card when it could be number 1 any other night.
Agreed. And fights like Beneil Dariush, Diego Ferreira, that's a legit ranked lightweight clash.
That could be an opener on a pay-per-view.
I agree. And you look at what else am I? Alex Pantoja versus Manel Cape. Yes, maybe like a prelims headliner, fight night opener sort of thing. When you compare this card to the main card for UFC 258 next Saturday, sans main event, I think this one's actually a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, that one's a little more lopsided because the Usman Burns fight has been pending for almost a year now, going back to when they first went to the Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. So we've been waiting for that a long time, and I think they know that too, because number 2 from the top is Macy Barber and Alexa Grasso, and I don't think that's a grabber like the co-main event of this show is.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And granted, you have some interesting fights on there. You have, I'm weirdly surprised. I guess they're high on Macy, and Alexa's a very sellable commodity for them. Between, she seems to have a fan base. I think Alexa Grasso checks off a lot of boxes for the UFC.
Yeah, they need a Hispanic star in the flyweight division, and she's that.
Exactly, she is that. Additionally, there is, I think, a significant portion of her audience that loves her personality. I've talked to her. She's just like, she's so sweet. She's so bubbly. She comes off as a very nice girl. And then, as with just about all the women in MMA, you're going to get a whole lot of creeps and weirdos who are going to follow her for reasons that I don't want to give much time to. But
don't ask her for pictures of her feet, please.
Exactly. She checks off the boxes for a lot of different demos, good and bad. Hopefully, mostly good. So I can see that, but I'm surprised they wouldn't put like Calvin Gastelum in that co-main. I know he's fallen on rough times, but he has been a guy who's been in that title conversation for a long time. Had that incredible war against Israel Adesanya. I feel like that's a way more likely co-main event fight than Macy Barber versus Alex Grasso.
Can we just say though, I'm sure with the looks of Macy Barber and Alexa Grasso, that's going to put them number 2 on the card, because I don't think people are looking at Kelvin Gastelum that way. Like you said, there's the creepers out there, and I think the creepers want that co-main event, so they're going to give it to him.
I guess so.
They don't care. They just care about the buys. They just want to sell the pay-per-view any way they can.
And yeah, I mean, that is the business model. And they're coming after you streamers. Actually, they're coming out of the streamers. So Josh, beware.
Yeah, look out, Josh, because Dana White's going to be standing outside your window like a creeper himself. Like, oh, I got you.
Seriously, what a load. And I had friends message me like, man, I was going to watch 257, but I heard about Dana. I'm like, guys, it's nonsense. Just go and, I mean, if you're gonna either not watch it or you're going to illegally stream it or whatever, if you're going to watch it and you're going to illegally stream it, like, if you're going to illegally stream it, and you're what am I trying to say here?
Like, if you're afraid of Dana White catching you, you're probably not thinking correctly on that.
Yeah, if you're conflicted about streaming the UFC illegally, there are better reasons than out of fear of what Dana White will do to you.
No, because trying to stop all the streamers is like trying to slot flies at a fly convention. You're going to get 1 or 2, but you're never going to get them all.
No. And it was also like Dana White had come out and said that like, oh yeah, this guy sent me a personal apology, yada yada, and then it turns out that the guy just went to his Discord channel, said, hey guys, I'm not streaming the fights tonight because I'm a little worried about it, but here is a totally legal way you can watch the fights without paying the UFC a dime.
And what did he send people to BT Sport?
I think it was in the Netherlands. You could watch it for free on TV. So you just set your virtual private network. You would set your IP address to the Netherlands, and then there's an online link for a free TV channel.
So like NordVPN or something. Then
that's all you need. That's all you need. And if that's the case, it seems like it's something you can do for literally every pay-per-view. Is if you already have a VPN, figure out what this website is. I'm gonna stop before Dana comes after.
Yeah, we don't need Dana knocking on our doors.
No. But I will say, I've always said this. I think that I just left Joseph's comment up here. Under the radar lightweight fight is next. Yes, Diego Ferreira, Benelli Dariush, apparently. Dude, Beneil Dariush. What on earth happened with this guy? Like, he's the submission super threat, who was always sort of marred by a limited striking offense, and as he sings his way to the octagon. Granted, he got damaged pretty bad in that Drakkar Close fight, but he's knocking out the strikers. He knocks out Drakkar Close. He knocks out Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman with like a spinning back fist.
Yeah, that was one of the sickest knockouts we saw in 2020.
He was sort of my under the radar star of the year. Like, I think there was such a
everybody wants to talk about Hamzat, but nobody's talking about Dariush.
Exactly. And Beneil Dariush, unfortunately, now. I text him. He's like, "Bro, we can't do interviews anymore because
now he's a UFC superstar.
Because I'm a superstar. I'm not allowed to do an interview with you." I'm like, "That's all right, man. We'll just text on the down low. You gotta support my fellow Iranian here." So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. What am I trying to do real quick?
We've got the final preparations as they're getting ready to get into the cage.
Yes, Mr. Salt and Pepper here. Fun fact, Beneil Dariush, after he retires, I think he plans on doing like missionary work.
Oh, well, very good. I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
Bruce Buffer looking positively subdued in his tuxedo tonight.
Well, you can't waste the good tuxes on a random fight night in the Apex.
My running joke is that like he stole my grandmother's curtains to make his tuxedo.
Oh, dude, some of them are bad, but I wish I had the confidence to rock out the way that.
See, and that's it, confidence, because I've met him in person, and there is nothing else but confidence about him. He exudes it from his handshake to his smile to every word he says. That guy can rock any outfit he wants, and he's confident. He knows it.
Yeah, and rightfully so. It's so weird to me that like. Bruce Buffer, what's his brother's name? I don't know.
Michael.
Michael.
The one who used to do the intros for WCW pay-per-views.
Let's get ready to rumble. Yeah.
You never thought Bruce Buffer would be more famous than Michael, but at this point, he is.
That is exactly my point. It's so. I guess genetically they got the voice going, and I'm sure once one makes it, he can put in a good word for the other. But it's pretty fun. Like I'd love to hear the story about how this happened. Did one of them fall into the other? Like, I could probably do this too.
I think UFC actually put up a video about that fight lore video about the rise of Bruce Buffer. I haven't watched it yet.
All I know from that is his who did he get into a fight with in the elevator?
I don't remember either, but knowing Bruce,
UFC fighter though.
Probably like Chuck Liddell or somebody, because he goes all the way back with UFC, so it could be anybody.
If you guys in the chat know, let us know, who did Bruce Buffer fight in an elevator? It was definitely a Hall of Famer. I don't remember which one, though.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Hall of Famers, though, Shaq, I got to ask you, how do you feel about the fall of BJ Penn over the last year or so?
Oh, I thought you meant me.
Well, you're a Hall of Famer, too, but I'm serious. Like, seeing what BJ Penn has become is depressing to me, because I was going to this guy's fights in Las Vegas in the 2000s, and I hate to see the hard times he's falling on now.
I mean, fighters unionize, work together so that you can get paid adequately, so that you can get resources to support you.
So that you can get out of fighting when you should.
Yeah. So you don't need to take a beating for nothing. So you don't have to, So you can do something productive with your life after fighting, right? Like, how many of these fighters do we find out years later are basically like broke because they weren't able to? And another thing, like, guys, you don't make that much money, save it, invest it, like, be responsible with your finances. But you know, a lot of fighters, there was like a poll, and a lot of fighters blame the media for this and that. Like, it's not and granted, I think there's a lot wrong with MMA media, but and I'm guilty of some of it myself, but like, we can only report on the news that exists, and we can only bang the drum of fighters' rights for so long if no one is taking legitimate action to further fighters' rights. So please, yeah, this is what John Fitch will go on about this kind of stuff all day. Like, it all comes back
John
to fighters'
is
rights.
very passionate about that subject. Every time I've engaged John on it, he's like, this is my career after fighting. I'm going to help fighters invest and save and take care of themselves. And our fight's underway. We've got Dariush in the blue and Fahea in the yellow.
All right. If you want to refresh your ESPN,
sure. Let me grab.
Let me know where it gets you to. Maybe it'll skip ahead now. Whatever.
You're way ahead of me then?
I can be. I can scroll ahead just so we're a little bit closer to what people are at. Beneil Dariush, the aggressive one this time, shoots for a single leg takedown. Diego Fahea kind of hunted for a brief guillotine, but he's basically on one foot now as Beneil does this. Oh, interesting. Diego Fahea tries to jump into like a jumping triangle into an omoplata almost. It's a fun grappling scramble here.
And trying to get it to refresh just froze it entirely. So
all right, I'll keep you up. Diego Fahea is doing like little rolls on his shoulder underneath. He's being very wily and scrambly, trying not to let Beneil Dariush settle in any of these grappling positions. And now on my screen, at least, they are just sort of chilling.
Oh, and in the chat, Colby said that Frank Trigg was who Bruce Buffer got in a fight with.
One. Dude, Diego Fahea is like a spider monkey. He's just climbing all over Beneil Dariush.
Oh, shit. Nice.
Almost gets like a weird back crucifix, but Beneil manages to get back to the feet. And we're standing.
All right. Let me see if I can get this back. I feel like I'm watching UFC 257 now. Up and down, up and down.
Dude, Beneil Dariush pressing forward, uppercut straight. Man, Beneil Dariush gets wild, and he takes shots.
He tries to walk through a lot of big punches that come his way.
He hurt Diego Fahea. Fahea dropped. Like a body shot, maybe? I'm so sorry you're messing all this.
No, I'm trying to get back to it as fast as I can, but it totally crashed and made me send a report that like the player has crashed. Would you like to send a live report? Like, yes, just click through all the options. Get me back to the fight. All right, it's refreshing now.
Diego Fahea is now hunting for a triangle, but Beneil Dariush pass into half guard.
Yep. Oh, I got it now. He's we've got on my feed at least we've got Dariush sitting on top, basically sitting on his head. Oh, now he's going for the triangle, so I'm a few seconds behind.
Okay, what's your time at right now?
2:22 left in the round.
Okay, 2:22 left in the round. Okay, I can pause mine for a second. I'll pause it at 2 minutes. How about that?
All right, will do.
Yeah, let me know when you're at 2 minutes.
Yep, I'm at 2.
Perfect.
So basically, I missed all the good stuff in this round.
You missed all the good stuff in this round. You'll see it on the highlights. Sorry for asking you to do that.
That's all right. That's all right.
Man, I'll give it to Diego Fahea. Like, at no point does he stop hunting for submissions, which even if they're not close, they force Beneil to react. They never really let him settle down. Now he's hunting for a leg lock. Beneil's so good at unwinding the feet. Oh, man, Diego almost gets the back. This is a fun scramble.
Oh, yeah. Now we got Dariush back on top in the closed guard, trying to posture up if he can.
Dude, this Beneil is so crazy. Like, I want him to work on the striking defense a little because I worry at a really high level. Like,
it's the Justin Gaethje thing. Like, why would you take those shots if you don't have to?
And while he's shown to be able to eat them, it's not like a Mark Hunt level chin. Like, we've seen him get rocked really badly by Drakkar Klose. We've seen him get knocked out before. So I'd love to see him, now that he has the confidence in his striking, to maybe be a little more choosy about when he goes to it.
And it's that whole longevity issue we were just talking about with fighters having an exit plan. Like, if your career plan is to get punched in the head and walk through it, maybe you're not going to last very long in the sport. You should think about that. Now we're back to
let's go to that knee.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand Clarence's comment. Beneil got cracks? Cracks in what? Cracks in his game? Cracks in his head? Crack rocks? What is he?
I was about to say crack rocks.
What is he implying there? Oh, front kick right to the face.
Ooh, man, Beneil. I know you missed most of the round. I'm gonna give it 10-9 to Beneil Dariush. I'll
take your word for that.
But Diego Fea's in there. Like, make no mistake about it. I just think right now Beneil's forward pressure and his ability to do it both striking and grappling is making Fea very reactive. But to Diego's credit, any opening he has, he's giving Beneil something to think about.
Yeah, he's constantly fishing for the submissions, and that's kind of weird because that's what I would expect Dariush to do. I would expect him to be the one going for one submission after another.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because someone was pointing this out. It's like going into that first fight, Beneil Dariush was sort of the reserved veteran, and Diego was this, wild man early into his UFC stint, and now the roles have sort of reversed.
Yeah. Joseph says Beneil was given a UFC honor at the media scrum on Thursday for comeback of the year by beating Scott Holtzman for his 5th win in a row.
Oh, I did not see this.
No, I didn't see that either.
Shout out to Beneil. Joseph, it's Beneil, not Benelli. Mm-hmm. I mean, whatever. But
well, we quoted it, we showcased it in the video stream here, so spelled right or not, his heart's in the right place.
Exactly. Right, here you go. Beneil hands low. Don't know how I feel about it, but there's also like a genuine selfish concern because I really do like Beneil. Mm-hmm. So I will not be shy about my biases here.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's like I said before about Clay Guida. I'm affectionate for that guy because I've been watching him fight for so long now. So anytime I see the Energizer Bunny in the UFC cage, I'm always secretly, even if I don't think he's going to win, I'm always rooting for him.
Yes, I feel that.
And we got a takedown.
We do. Nice little single leg trip, or a nice trip there. Mm-hmm. That wasn't just a trip. Like he when he hooked onto that leg and he yanked it out. There was no way Diego was going to stand up there.
He lifted him up in the air. He got him elevated. And once again, we see Fahea trying to find anything he can on the ground. He's constantly moving. He's trying to fish those legs all the way up around the head.
See, it's like the exact opposite of the Mike Rodriguez fight. It's like you can make grappling interesting. Now, I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm not in there fighting. I understand you don't always want to go for broke. But for me, this is an example of when grappling can be fun to watch in MMA.
Right. When one guy is willing to sell out, even when he's on the bottom, if he's willing to take that risk and try to find a way to win.
Switch between sit and stand here, says my physiotherapist. Shout out to the physiotherapist, Kevin.
I think Dariush might be thinking the same thing. Like it looks like he's getting about ready to stand up and avoid this triangle attempt. Yep, he's back to his feet. That almost looks like a Dagestani wrestling position where you just put the guy against the cage and put all your weight on.
Oh, Diego, deep on that leg. Mm-hmm. What a nice little roll through.
Oh, yeah.
Beneil, great job. Well, I mean, Beneil's a dominance guy, so. Mm-hmm. Oh, got the back take now.
And trying to jump the back. Got one hook in. That second hook's going to be tough from this position. Well, he lost it. Yep. Those corners are so loud now without crowds.
I like it, honestly. Like, I haven't really missed the crowd too much. Only in, like, main event walkouts, Connor, Dustin, like, that energy is palpable. But for the most part, I've enjoyed the crowdless fights.
Yeah, and Peter likes to say that when you hear the punches land now, you really hear them. You can tell just how hard these guys are hitting. Is it me, or is Dariush's face looking a little swollen here?
I believe it. He's eating a lot of these punches.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Diego going for guillotine. Beneil's so good, man. Like,
yeah, he's not going to get him in that. No, he didn't.
No, and they're legitimate attempts. Like, Diego's not a low-level grappler by any stretch of the imagination. So you see good entries from Diego, but you see very nuanced responses from Beneil that totally, stifle the attempts.
Exactly. He's not going to... And I mean no disrespect to Darren Caldwell when I say this, but Caldwell was so focused on his wrestling, he wouldn't protect his neck. He needed a Wu-Tang Clan refresher for that. Protect your neck. He'd go for those takedowns, and he'd leave it right there to be taken.
We got Eric Saldas in the chat saying, how are you guys scoring the round so far? I know you missed most of the first round thanks to ESPN Plus tomfoolery. I had a 10-9 Beneil in the first, 10-9 in the second. It's sometimes hard to tell because of the forward pressure if Diego is landing harder and more often. I think that actual strikes in totality are pretty close, and I feel like they both hit with relative impact. So at that point, because I'm having trouble differentiating the strike, the strikes, I'm gonna give the nod to Dariush based on the grappling at that point.
Yeah, and you can always go to the second and the third factors on the list. You go to ground control and riding time, and Dariush clearly has that in the second round, and I'll take your word for it on the first.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty similar round to the first. So, so I should not work on my lighting here. Good stuff. I'm really liking this new version of Dariush.
Well, I think Jose found a stream. He's now pimping something on Instagram.
Oh, that's we know nothing about that.
We know nothing. I'm really dating myself with that reference.
It's okay, Grandpa.
Boomer. I'm a boomer sooner over here. Boomer.
Well, apparently I'm not much of a TikTok user, but my girlfriend says there's now like, what's after millennials? Generation Z? She says like the Generation Zers have now started going after the millennials for being too old. So,
oh, really? Is that where it's at now?
I just try and, age is a number and all that nonsense.
Absolutely.
I stick with that. I can tell you some of my oldest friends are my most immature friends. So.
I think that's true of mine as well, because they love to drink sake bombs and watch fights. So I wouldn't say they're high on the maturity list.
No. All right, round 3, just about underway. Brought to you by P3.
The portable protein pack of Donald Cerrone.
I would just never think that like a bag full of peanuts, pepperoni sticks, and
chocolate pieces. Yeah. It doesn't sound like the kind of thing Donald Cowboy Cerrone would be all about. You would think if he was going to get a sponsorship, why wouldn't it be like Bud Light?
Did you see the BMF Ranch has a barber shop in there? That place is wicked. It's like a Disneyland for dads.
Well, it should be. He is a dad now.
This is true.
Mm-hmm. Also, when you mentioned nicest guys in the sport and you were talking about Dariush, Cowboy, legitimately one of the nicest guys I've ever talked to. He's always super polite and super easy to chat with.
Yeah. We have our disagreements when it comes to social issues, but Cowboy, I met him in person as well. So humble, so cordial when you're talking to him. He'll give you his time of day. Shout out to Donald Cerrone.
Stipe Miocic is the same way too. Super nice dude.
I shot my shot here. Diego's really struggling to settle down. I mean, Beneil's just not letting him.
No, he's stalking him the whole time. Oh, clipped him with a nice shot there, and kind of a sloppy shot for a takedown, though.
It was.
But yeah.
This is Diego's best round, though, without a doubt.
Yeah, he's doing okay standing, but if it gets to the ground, he's probably not gonna be able to find anything because he hasn't found it yet. Oh, we got a timeout for a nut
Nut
shot.
shot.
Yeah, there's our P3 sponsorship. Now we're getting the nuts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
it sounded like you had a story about Stipe there. You said something about shooting a shot.
So, when I was with Mania, I want to say I did a phoner with Stipe through Modelo, and I shot my. I was like, this is my chance. I'm to shoot my shot. I asked him for his for his PSN, for his PlayStation username, so we could game a little Call of Duty together, and he gave it to me.
Nice.
But I'm not sure whether or not he's aware that I think he set a setting so people can't add him.
Oh, so it didn't work. He gave it to you and you couldn't add him.
Couldn't add him.
Well, it's still nice that he gave it to you. That's cool.
Oh, he's such a nice guy. He's a very nice guy.
Okay. And that didn't take too long. Quick timeout, and we're back to action here.
Well, I feel like Diego, if nothing else, these guys never take the full 5 minutes unless they're at Herman. But
right.
I think
I don't want to dog Ed Herman too much because he's one of the first guests I ever had on Glove Up or Shut Up. So he's a super nice dude too.
And I would have done the exact same thing. So there's no judgment there. But I think Diego's starting to sense a shift in momentum. He's doing much better this round, so he probably doesn't want to take too much time off.
No, yeah, you don't want to let Dariush off the hook if he feels you got him.
Huge left hand.
Yeah, that one hurt him.
Did you see Diego run straight into the referee?
Yeah, he collided with him like he was trying to tackle him on a play in the Super Bowl.
Love it.
This turned into a slobber knocker in the third round.
It's a modern day Beneil Dariush fight. I think that's basically the expectation moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you love to see him have this fight with Justin Gaethje?
Oh, that would be concerning. I'd be worried.
It would be concerning, but it would be fun.
Actually, that's a really interesting fight because just want to see how this craziness on the entry plays out. Beneil Dariush going for a leg.
Yeah.
He's done a really good job to look at that. He doesn't go for the submission, but he uses it to take his opponent off balance and get back up.
Yep. Nice transition there.
You know what? I kind of dismissed it at first, but Justin Gaethje versus Beneil Dariush is kind of interesting because they're both ready to brawl. I wouldn't advise Beneil Dariush to go out there and brawl with Justin Gaethje, but he has that in his back pocket. Plus, we've seen that Justin Gaethje has got a lot of work to do once you take him down. Getting him down is a whole different problem.
Yeah. You got to get to his legs to get him down, and not a lot of people can do that.
No, but Beneil Dariush, if he can somehow use his forward pressure and eat some shots and land a takedown, I think he'd finish Justin Gaethje pretty quickly on the ground.
Yeah, I agree. Which is weird when you think about the fact that Justin Gaethje was such a high-level stud as a wrestler before he got into MMA, and we never see him use his wrestling at all.
Well, it always seems strange to me, but if he's avoided training his submission game that much, I can start to see why he'd prefer to keep things on the feet.
Right.
Because he kind of just granted you're in there with Khabib, but the reason Khabib goes to so many decisions is because he grinds his way through the ground position. He got multiple tight submission attempts on Justin Gaethje quickly. He put no work into it. He just slid into whatever dominant position he wanted to, and Gaethje had very little to offer in terms of defense.
It's like, did he train BJJ at all leading up to this fight? Not that you don't have to do it your whole career, but going against Khabib, you'd want to have at least a little something ready.
A little anaconda choke attempt late. That is, without a doubt, 29-28 or 30-27 Dariush, I'd say.
The only round Fahea could get is the third, if he gets that, and I'm not sure that he does.
I don't think so either. Let me give MMA Decisions my score real quick.
And Joseph Boza says he was picking this one as the fight of the night when he saw the card.
I mean, thus far, I think it is. I'm trying to remember if anything on the prelims stuck out, but nothing really.
Oh, there was a pretty big knockout in the opener that had a lot of people talking.
Yeah, but in terms of fight of the night, excuse me.
Well, yeah. I don't know if that could be fight of the night, but when you win a fight in 26 seconds with a punch, you're getting a bonus. Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to go ahead and make this Beneil Dariush graphic under the assumption that he won that.
I think that's a safe bet.
Sometimes I feel bad. If it's sometimes I feel bad doing it, but I gotta be efficient here.
Oh, we got a shout out on Twitter from a good friend of mine, a fellow Canadian, the dirty white boy, Jason Hagholm.
Hey, shout out to Jason. Good to hear from him. He was on our UFC 257 watch along.
Yep. I've known him for quite a long time now. He's a really good dude.
Yeah, man, he's great. Got to do his end of the year award show with a few other people. That was a pleasure. Shout out to Jason.
Mm-hmm. And he's doing a lot of interviews these days, from what I've seen as well. He's got quite a bit of what's the name of that promotion that he does it with? BTC, I believe.
Oh, it's a split decision.
No way. What?
Oh, thank goodness.
Holy crap, that was nerve-wracking. And Jason thought it was 30-27, so I'm sure he's just as stunned as we are that was a split. Wow. What round do you give Fahea other than the third to come up with that score?
I don't know. Like, the striking was relatively close in the first two rounds, I'd say.
Maybe if I'd seen the full first round, maybe I'd feel differently.
But it was so close to me that it was decisively
decided
Dariush's, based on the ground game.
Mm-hmm. But I guess one of the judges didn't think so. What do we have? Cecil Peoples or Adelaide Bird scoring?
Yo, we got is Cecile on this one too?
I don't know, but people were complaining about Adelaide Bird.
Adelaide Bird and Chris Lee's doing the main event. So
oh boy. Okay.
Watch out for that.
So next up on our slate, we have Pantoja and Cape. Oh, Donaldo thinks that Fahea got the decision.
Well, Donaldo, I appreciate you being here. I respect your opinion. Guys, a quick reminder, if you're not already, hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, leave a like on this video. That is a lot for us on YouTube. Little super chat donation if you're feeling generous. $1, $1,000. I got my preference, but it's all good. That goes a long way.
None of it goes to me, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, none of it goes to Steve. He's just he's free labor tonight. Keep an eye out on the channel tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Got a video dropping. Gilbert Burns' wrestling coach, Greg Jones, will be doing a tier list ranking Kamaru Usman's UFC opponents from best to worst. He was also obviously Kamaru Usman's coach dating back to his UFC debut.
All right, they used to be teammates, so obviously there's some insider knowledge there.
Yes, so if you want to try and pry a little bit of information, you can scan through that for it. It was also just a fun shoot, so shout out to Greg for doing that.
Fun fact, of UFC's current active roster, Durinho Burns is one of the few guys that follows me on Twitter.
Dude, Gilbert Burns, again, another, I get it, a shame that, if there's one thing wrong with Gilbert Burns being successful, is that his media opportunities have been limited because Gilbert is such a nice guy. He'd always do shows with me. He'd always do interviews with me. We still DM and text from time to time. He is such a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a true class act.
Share your stuff if you ask him to. Like, I've never once had a complaint from Gilbert about anything. But he's a superstar now, and hey, that's how the game goes. I understand. There's no shame to that. And I'm happy to him and all success. And hey, we got a fighters prediction video coming out on Monday, and I'll tell you this, spoiler alert, most of the fighters I talk to
Picking Burns.
I
can see it. There's a lot of people who think Usman has holes in his game. Mm-hmm. We're just waiting for somebody to come along and exploit it. And who better than somebody who knows the inside scoop, who's trained with him, who's worked with him, who knows what those holes are, basically.
So usually speak, I think Cormier might have mentioned it at some point, but usually when teammates fight, actually, wait, I want to hear what Beneil says here.
Oh yeah. Let me turn it up a little too. Oh, he's got a lot of marks on his face. Oh.
Man, remember when I said Beneil Dariush is a class act? He uses his call out
to promote somebody else.
Promote a flyweight.
Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to call out somebody in his division, and they totally went 180 the opposite direction.
Beneil Dariush, man, nicest dude.
Yeah, he is.
All right. Yeah, so I think it might have been Cormier who was saying usually when teammates fight, it's the challenger who will switch camps. And I had someone, I can't remember who it was, but one of the fighters I interviewed suggested that Kamaru leaving is an indication that perhaps Gilbert Burns was getting the best of him in training.
Or it could be all those things that Colby used to say that, you usually dismiss when, not the Colby in the chat, I'm talking Colby Covington, but he would talk trash like nobody likes Kamaru, nobody gets along with him. Who knows? Maybe there was actually a seed of truth to those things he was saying.
We'll see. What's your official, now that we're seeing a promo for UFC 258, what is your official prediction?
Oh, it's tough to pick against Kamaru Usman, whether you like him or whether you don't like him, because he's at the top of his game, and I feel like that's almost a curse when you're an MMA reporter, is you can't pick against a guy who's at the top of his game. But man, I don't know. A year ago this would have been easier because I thought Burns was so hot at the time, and to have this fight postponed this long, I'm almost worried that he cooled off a little bit.
It's possible. I will say, I tend to favor the champions just because I have no understanding of actual fight breakdowns. But like, what I just look at Gilbert Burns as such a total package, right? Now it's possible Usman has strong enough. I don't even know. Here's the thing: like, you're talking about Gilbert Burns, a world champion level submission threat. Like, this dude's a legit grappling champion who now has great boxing and a ton of power. Like, Kamaru Usman's game is so predicated on takedowns, and while I trust that he's got really high level submission defense, I don't know if it's that high.
Yeah, that's the trick of it, is that you're thinking you have the advantage if you're on top, but with Burns that doesn't exist. He could catch you in anything at a moment's notice.
I mean, I think and we've seen Kamaru, like, he's so strong, but he doesn't get a lot of knockout finishes. This may be a fight, I think, similar to the Colby Covington fight. And I imagine what we're going to see if Kamaru Usman wins is volume. I think he's going to have
in the fourth or fifth round, he pours it on.
Perhaps. But I suspect he's going to be fighting behind a jab a lot, finding at range. I'm assuming he's probably got a bit of a longer reach. Let's
check that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, take a look. But I suspect we're going to see a lot of volume striking and distance management from him, because the last thing he wants to do is put Gilbert Burns in positions where he can pull off submissions or throw bombs.
Usman has a 76-inch reach and Burns 71.
There you go. Those wingspans.
So I guess at the end of the day, I'm still going to go with Usman, but if Burns wins, I'm certainly not going to be upset about it.
Yeah. So they're doing some sort of video package celebrating Daniel Cormier's status as the first African-American UFC commentator, I think.
Yeah, because it is Black History Month right now. So
Makes sense.
It's funny when I think about it now of all the events that I've gone to and covered, but I remember when he was an alternate in the Strikeforce heavyweight tournament, and people weren't taking him seriously at the time. They were like, this guy is not a mixed martial artist star. He's a blown up light heavyweight. He should be fighting at 205. And people were talking so much shit about him. And he came into that tournament as an alternate and destroyed it. How many times has Daniel Cormier proved himself to people over and over again? It's like, just because he couldn't beat Stipe Miocic in the end doesn't mean you should ever take anything away from him. It looks like he's getting a little time to reflect on his career.
Oh, good call.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, out of all the people that have made that transition from being in the cage to being on commentary, I think he's done it as well, if not better, than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, especially in terms of an overall broadcaster. He's doing the show with Ariel Helwani now. Mm-hmm. He is, and I mean, obviously he's been a company man. He appears to be in Dana White's good graces. So he's charismatic and he's funny. He's got such a long. He's going to be like the Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley sort of territory when it comes to the NBA and TNT. That's Daniel Cormier's future as far as I'm concerned. He's always going to be a major part of the UFC ESPN vehicle.
Unless somebody offers him so much money that he comes to WWE and does commentary.
Yeah, I know they were talking about that for quite a while, but
yeah, they wanted him on SmackDown when it came to Fox.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they wanted him real bad because there's that natural crossover of sports and Fox, so they figured he'd be a perfect fit there.
Do you know what happened? Do you know why it sort of...
I just think loyalty to Dana White, like you said. Dana White loves him and vice versa. So at the end of the day, he said thanks, but no thanks.
Here we go. Yep. Mr. Manel.
I got to say, if he does the body work I've seen him do in Ryzen, this could be a short night, but that depends on if he can get to the body or not.
That's the thing, right? And, Michael Chandler is sort of the exception to the rule and completely obliterated the case I made for Dan Hooker going into that fight, but it's hard. Granted, flyweight, it's come a long way, still maybe not quite as deep of a division as, let's say, a lightweight.
I mean, how many times have I had to fill out the rankings and there weren't even 15 fighters in the division? I mean, come on.
Seriously. But I tend to favor a top 5 guy over a newcomer, no matter how much hype they have. Only because, not to say they don't have a body of work justifying it, it's just that I find, generally speaking, with the exception of Michael Chandler, there is sort of a recalibration period that needs to take place. You need to get that first UFC fight down to sort of understand what adjustments you have to make to compete at this level. So that's generally why I tend to favor the UFC mainstay over the newcomer.
Oh yeah, I mean, we saw that with Marlon Moraes when he came out of the World Series of Fighting and came to UFC. He wasn't a success immediately. Yeah, he had his problems coming in.
Eddie Alvarez lost to Donald Cerrone before becoming UFC champ. Justin Gaethje nearly lost to Michael Johnson, who we'll see later tonight, and then lost to Eddie and lost to Dustin before making his big turnaround. So
yeah,
you learn something about what you need to do to compete at this level, and we'll see if that applies to Manel tonight.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on the strength of the team you're with. If you're, an American top team guy or a Brazilian, Blackzilian, or your Elevation, if you're one really the top level camps in the sport, if you're working out at Jackson Wink and you haven't been at UFC yet, you're probably going to do okay in UFC.
Yes. Agree. Do you think... No, I guess most of the fights... Never mind, that doesn't make sense. I was just thinking, granted, they're not quite the same thing, but I'll quickly plug our new video that dropped over combat at youtube.com/combat culture that I took part in. We did a celebration of the African-born UFC champions and all the fighters coming out of that continent, and I just realized that it coincides with Black History Month. But it's crazy to think in the next 3 UFC pay-per-views, we're going to see 3 consecutive title fights headlined by UFC or by African-born champions or contenders. So you have to imagine it's a matter of time once things get operational again on a global
and
scale.
The pandemic settles down, yeah.
They got to be heading to Africa sometime soon.
Yeah, I would put on a big show in Nigeria or South Africa the first chance I get if I'm UFC.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine Kamaru Usman and Izzy, if they're both champions on the same card, dude. Insane.
Yeah.
Both Nigerian born.
Do you think Adesanya is going to pull off the champ? Do you think he can do it?
Man, at this point, and I haven't for a very long time. I don't think I ever have, but at this point, I'm not going to doubt Izzy.
Mm-hmm.
But am I going to be surprised if the light heavyweight champ wins? No. There's a lot being said about the fact that Izzy, look at that. Pantoja goes right over to his opponent. There's a lot that's been said about Izzy saying that he's not going to be putting on any muscle for this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that is a risk that pays off or not, we'll find out. But it's that sort of forward thinking, the idea that we're not going to focus on trying to match Jan in this aspect. We know Izzy's the smaller guy, or the guy from a lower weight class. Instead, we're going to focus on coming up with the perfect game plan, accentuating Adesanya's strength. It's
and
that
you wouldn't want to put on as much muscle as Jan Blachowicz anyway, because that guy is incredibly blown up for a light heavyweight.
Exactly. It's that sort of forward thinking that has made City Kickboxing such a success, right? It's their evolved use of feints and these sort of new best practices that have made Dan Hooker, Izzy, Volkanovski so successful.
And when you look at the way Izzy strikes, you see shades of Anderson Silva at his prime. The way that he would get in and out of range, and he would befuddle people, and they'd be watching his feet, and his hands would flash out. He's got that it factor as timing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope it. I didn't. This is the thing. A lot of people were calling for this fight. I wasn't. Maybe it's selfish. I don't want to see Jan or Izzy lose, to be quite honest with you. And
you feel for Jan because he's struggled so long and so hard to get to this position. It would suck for him to lose it right away.
Yeah, and Joseph Boza chiming in nicely to my next point, which is I really wanted to see Glover Teixeira get the title fight. Like he is without a doubt on the last run of his career, and he's on the best run of his career. Like I'm gonna be so disappointed if Glover has to take another fight and loses, or we have to wait like a year and a half before he gets his crack. But I really wanted to see Glover get the fight and then discuss Izzy's super fight.
And when you think about the dues that Glover has paid, not just in the cage, but in the fight pit, he was the guy who used to get Chuck Liddell ready for his title fights.
There you go. So right off the bat, Pantoja rushes Manel, who hands down like no one's business, just sort of, wholesomely walks backwards away from the strikes.
Yeah, he's getting pressured towards the cage here. Pantoja
landed one there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Cape doesn't want to keep backpedaling. If Pantoja gets him trapped against the fence, that's not going to work well for him.
Well, got a nice leg kick in there, a body kick. Cape catches it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the mustache that's probably giving Pantoja the edge right now. It's quite nice.
Does it give me the edge?
Yes, surely.
I just think it makes me look old.
Well, why do you have it?
My wife likes it, that's why.
Shout out to your wife. Gotta keep the wife happy. Happy wife, happy life, right?
That's what they say.
Now, if only my girlfriend would support my efforts to grow my facial hair, but she won't. So, understandably so, it's horrible. Maybe one day. I'm hoping when I hit like late 40s, maybe it'll grow out nicely enough that I can.
But see, when you get in your 40s, it starts turning into salt and pepper on the chin. So
it's okay. I'm ready for it, dude. I am ready for retirement. I'm having fun, but I'm looking forward to retire. I'm investing my money. I spend within my means. I work hard, and I am ready to retire.
I don't think I'll be ready to retire for another 20 years. I realize I'm not a spring chicken at this, but I'm having too much fun to quit now.
It is fun. It is fun if you can make it work. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Nice jab from Cape, but Pantoja thus far way more active, mixing up nicely to the leg, to the body, and to the head.
He's throwing some nice left hooks here.
Hey, do you gamble at all on the fights?
No, I've once, going back to BJ Penn, since we were talking about him earlier, I once had an opportunity to place a bet on him against Sean Shirk. I went to the book at the MGM Grand and I said, how much do I have to bet to win? And they said, if you bet $100, you get 41. I was like, no, I don't like those odds. I'm not taking that bet. And then, of course, he beat Sean Shirk. So it's like, would have been free money, but that was the only time I was ever tempted, and I didn't do it.
Yeah, the first time I ever bet was Jeremy Stevens versus Du Ho Choi, and Jeremy Stevens was the underdog. And I bet like $200 on that fight or something, and I got like $350 in return.
Nice.
But then I realized I don't like betting. So
yeah,
the problem is you put your money in, you can't take it out until you meet certain thresholds. And so now I'm stuck with my money in. So what I've decided to do in 2021, shout out to MMA Mania. I'm just using the MMA Mania betting guide, and I'm just going off of that. And hey, they've been doing a terrible job to start off the year, but I know they're profitable year over year. I trust them. I'm sticking with them.
Mm-hmm. Pantoja just landed a nice combo there. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem with the online sports books is you have to hit that payout threshold. And
yeah,
I worked, I won't name who, but I worked for one as a sports writer, and they wouldn't pay out until I had earned $1,000 writing columns for them. So I imagine it's the same if you're betting.
Oh God, that you should call those people out.
Well, they don't even have a sports book anymore because they're based overseas, so they can't legally do it in the United States now. So I don't need to hassle them for that.
Okay, Pantoja was watching the Dustin Poirier fight because he's landing a whole lot of leg kicks to Eric Saldez's point there.
Yeah, trying to slow him down by wrecking the legs, getting that calf kick in there.
Again, talking about best practices in MMA, they're always changing. You know, at one point the calf kicks were basically unused, and now they're so effective and so crucial that Conor McGregor is writing 5,000-word essays on them on his Instagram posts.
So. Yeah. Now, I asked my co-host this on Tuesday when we taped for our Wednesday show, and I'll ask you this as well. Do you think Conor has a point when he says the reason he lost wasn't just the leg kicks, but the inactivity?
Yes. I think there's something to be said about that, but he knew he hadn't fought in a long time. He picked one of the hardest fights he could get. So I have no sympathy for it. Right. I acknowledge it as much after the fight as I did before the fight, but he needs to be more active. And it seems like this was a bit of a learning lesson for him. And I hope that him and the UFC can sort of stay on good terms. And he can get some fight book. Give him a Nate Diaz or a Tony Ferguson. Give him a small step down and let him work his way back up. Because, dude, this sport is growing so fast. You cannot realistically fight like twice in 4 years or whatever it is and expect to just jump back in on the highest level. Like George St. Pierre did it, but let's be honest. Yeah, GSP picked his spots very cleverly. He picked Michael Bisping, who was at the top of the sport for a very brief time in a very odd circumstance.
And
that wasn't necessarily
Luke Rockhold fight on short notice and making the most of it.
Yeah, but that wasn't necessarily the best guy in that division at the time, right? So that's not usually how it goes.
And I think even with GSP being like the exception to the rule where you can take a long time off and come back and become a champion again, he found out it didn't really work out so well for him because he started having all those digestive issues from putting on weight and his stomach was all screwed up. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm vacating the title because I can't keep doing this.
Exactly. These two don't seem to like each other, man. Like Manel's halfway across the octagon already.
Yeah, there's some legitimate bad blood here of some kind. Maybe I missed something at the weigh-ins because I didn't watch them.
No, me neither. Shout out to the guys in the chat. Let us know. I have that first round scored 10-9 for Pantoja. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'll go with 10-9 Pantoja as well. He's really putting it on in the striking, and I think the calf kicks are really going to slow down Cape at some point here. We're seeing it continue to land over and over again in this second round, and Pantoja's you wouldn't think these guys are smaller weight class by the way they're winging out these punches. They're hitting each other hard.
Shout out to Sean Sheehan, who just hit me up on Twitter about that Beneil Dariush scoring.
Oh, what did he say?
Stop. I was just like, I just said, on what planet was that a split decision for Beneil Dariush? And he just replied, Earth.
See, that's one of my cliches is I say, what planet was that on? But I also say he wasn't just out to lunch. His lunch was out to lunch. Like when you score a fight that way, it's like you weren't even watching it. But then again, I missed most of the first round, so what argument do I have there? I got to call bullshit on myself. Hopefully, by the way, swearing is not a problem because I know I've dropped a couple of.
I'll tell you what I told Farah Hanoun. Say whatever the fuck you want, dude.
All right, then.
Yeah, all right. Sean's gimmick over at Fightful Pro Wrestling is that he's the Dong Lord and he will smash your mom. So I think we're safe. Most of the Fightful Pro Wrestling sponsors are penis related.
Now, do you have Manscaped as a sponsor? Because I had to explain that one to my wife last night.
Fightful Pro Wrestling does indeed have Manscaped as one of their sponsors.
Yeah, because that channel, that YouTube channel I was talking about earlier, Weighing, Manscaped sponsors him, and he likes to say things like, guys, we have a swamp down there. Get Manscaped to drain the swamp. That's the only kind of swamp draining I ever want to hear about.
Well, you gifted one of these manscaping devices for Christmas.
No, I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm getting nothing for it. So that's just like me on this show tonight. It's for free.
Yes.
You know, for as many kicks
better round from Manel.
Cape is he's hanging in there, doing pretty well.
Yeah, this is a much better second round. Pantoja is starting to become a little more flat-footed, but he landed a nice right hand there.
Yeah. But Cape's not backing up nearly as much as he was in the first. He's coming forward much more aggressively now. You know, I realize now that shirt says Jack and Jones and Jack and Jones, but at first I thought it was a Daniel Bryan shirt. I thought it was
it does look like a Daniel Bryan shirt. Yeah. This is so embarrassing. I remember, Pantoja with a huge right, but Cape just ate that sucker and threw back.
Yeah.
Spit it back in his face. It. I'll tell you a story during the
between rounds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice body shots now from Pantoja. I think I'm still giving this one to Pantoja, but it's closer.
It's a lot closer than the first.
Shout out to Bloody Elbows Anton Tabuena on Twitter, who says Pantoja should switch to a head kick or feint with the body kick to land a combination because Cape is starting to drop his hands low to block the body kick.
Yeah. He definitely doesn't keep his hands up in this fight. They're almost all the way down to his calves, literally. It's like, come on, try to block something.
Apparently, according to Aaron Bronstetter on Twitter, it's pronounced cop.
Oh, well, then I've been butchering it, I suppose. Wouldn't be the first fighter's name that I've totally gotten wrong. In fact, usually I'm the one that's chastising my co-host Peter H for getting him wrong. I'm like, it's Habib Nurmagomedov. Come on, he can't get through it to save his life.
I think from watching Habib pronounce it's Nurmagomedov, but I got a lot of shit for saying that in a video one time. Like, oh, you're a racist. You must want Tony Ferguson to win. I'm like,
okay, it's like if
I watched the video and I recited it like 4,000 fucking times.
But this is like the old school debate about how you're supposed to say Fedor Emelianenko, because you'll get people saying it's Fyodor. And I've never heard any announcer pronounce it that way, and I've never heard Fedor correct anybody. So if it's Fyodor, fine, but he doesn't even say it that way.
I know. My rule is, and listen, I don't expect everyone to say Habib Nurmagomedov, but if you can, just pronounce it however they pronounce it. Now, I doubt Habib cares. And I don't have to. I'm sure he wouldn't. No one cares if I say Habib Nurmagomedov. But I can't tell you how mad people got. They're like, "Oh, you must hate Muslims. That's why you're pronouncing his name like that." Or, "Oh, you must want Tony Ferguson to win. That's why you're pronouncing his name like that." I'm like, "Bro, I'm like, guys, I will link to the video of him pronouncing his name in the bio. Go figure it out for yourselves."
Well, if you say he pronounces it that way, I'm 100 with you on that.
Yeah,
but
I'll send you the video. You can try your best after. I will say, though, nothing like engagement to get those views up. So I'll pronounce it at whatever way will get more people talking.
Even if people hate you, at least they're watching, right? That's the old cliche.
So on this Jack and Jones shirt, I was super drunk one time at a nightclub in Whistler here in Canada. And My grandmother brought me this shirt from Germany, so I haven't seen Jack and Jones before, but I guess it's a popular brand. And so I see another guy wearing a Jack and Jones shirt, and in my drunk stupor, I just walk up to him like, and he's just looking at me. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Jack and Jones."
He thought it was no big deal. He couldn't understand.
He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave now.
It's awesome.
Oh, whatever. Just trying to make friends out here.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like most people are scoring at 2018 Pantoja. So
hey, who picks the tweets and how can I get on there? I've only ever made it once.
I don't know. I'm new to the StreamYard thing, so you'll have to tell me.
Oh no, I mean on the broadcast, right? There's someone who picks tweets.
Oh. Well, I assume you're the one that's picking out the comments and the tweets.
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
But there's someone from the broadcast who must be picking tweets to, like, it's always like Sean Sheehan, Ryan Frederick, Jed Mashu.
Hey Ryan, if you're listening, you still owe me. I've been waiting for you to say you're not busy and come on my show. So Ryan, I'm calling you out right here, right now. There's that engagement for you.
There you go.
But shout out to our Fred. He's an awesome dude too.
Okay, I don't know if you're qualified to answer this question because I'm definitely not. Going back to the topic of fighting techniques, what do you think would be the next punch of style that would be utilized more in the upcoming years? Well, I don't know because I haven't seen it utilized.
There's probably going to be some sort of Muay Thai strike that we're not familiar with that's going to become really popular in one fighting and will migrate its way over from there to the United States. But I can't tell you what it is because, like Shaq said, I haven't seen it yet. Okay,
so take a look. Keep an eye on the one championship string of major network TV shows on TNT. Mm-hmm. You'll see something new. Eric, let us know what you think. What you think it'll be. All right.
Oh, and Donaldo says it's actually the Brazilian names that are more confusing than the Islamic names.
Well, for the most part, I think things like Magomed Sharipov are like relatively phonetic. I think what gets people with the Brazilian name, a cop sticking his tongue out at Pantoja. Dude, the activity from Pantoja is impressive. Like, he's throwing those kicks so fast and with so much effort. And there's a nice uppercut to the body from Cop. Like, a head kick from Pantoja. Nice. Cop's kind of dancing.
Yeah, I think he felt that. He's mocking him. But yeah, as far as pronunciations with Brazilians go, I think it's the silent R that throws people off the most.
I think what happens, and it happens to me too, is people mixing up Spanish and Portuguese. Like, for the longest time, I'm like, isn't it Jose Aldo? But no, in Portuguese, you pronounce the J. And in Spanish, you often pronounce the R, but then in Portuguese, you don't, right? So.
Right. Did you ever see the K1 Dynamite USA show back in like 2008, or is that too early for you?
Not in its entirety, but in chunks. So I started consuming any sort of MMA content probably sometime like December 2008 or December 2000, somewhere between late 2008 and late 2009. That was when I first started getting exposed to it through some of the THQ UFC games. Mm-hmm. And then it was after high school that I started diving deep into it, which would have been 2013. But I have seen select fights from that card, just not the entire thing from start to finish.
Well, the reason that I bring it up is because I had been following MMA for long enough at that point that I knew about the Brazilian pronunciation of the R, but apparently the live DJ that they hired for the evening to play music between fights had not been clued in, because he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Royce Gracie."
Oh, no.
And 20,000 people in the Olympic Stadium all booed the DJ.
That's awesome. Poor guy. Like, you gotta give him a heads up if you didn't. Cop with a nice takedown. This is the only round that he's been ahead on the striking.
Yeah, they've got the stat up on the screen. He's ahead.
But it's close enough that nice knee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, Pantoja's hit the harder, at least appears to have landed the more impactful shots. And either way, I think this should be at the very least 29-28 for him.
Yeah, well, we've already seen one wacky score on this main card, so I put nothing past these judges.
Brussels Bowl 42 on Periscope wants to know, has it started? If you're talking about the main card, yes. In terms of which fight, we just wrapped up on Pantoja versus Kopp.
I'm not going to accuse him of anything, but maybe Brussels had a bull because he just asked if Overeem is fighting right now.
No. So
no, he's not.
So
not yet, Brussels.
You got the co-main and then the main to go. So I would expect Overeem and Volkov to start somewhere around what, like 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern.
Yeah, it could be that late, depending on how the rest of these fights go. We'll have to see.
How many are left?
Well, like you said,
three. We actually got 2 fights left.
Yeah, but if those ones finish quick, we could get to the main event before 10 o'clock. But they might push it back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, from my understanding, they usually allocate like 30 minutes per main card fight.
Oh, and Joseph Boza just gave us a heads up. He says that the referee who gave Fahea the 29-28 over Dariush was Jaron Vallel.
Yes, I did see that. I don't know much about Jaron's other discretions, so all right, Brussels.
Jaron's made a few questionable calls before, so
we'll see you back.
Now we get to find out who makes a questionable call on this one.
All right, here's Eric's theory, which is that the Conor McGregor shoulder strikes we'll see more of. And I think it might have been Yusuf Zalal or his opponent, Troy. We saw a few of those tonight, actually.
Yeah, but it's one of those really impressive to land, but really difficult to time strikes. So I don't know if that can be effective for a lot of fighters.
All right, that's the right call. 229-28, 130-27 for Alexandre Pantoja.
Yep, that is solid scoring. No mistakes there.
And but keep in mind, he was relatively competitive with the top 5 guy in the division. So
yeah, I think Manel gets another booking off of this one. He didn't acquit himself poorly in this fight. He just
not at all.
Didn't win. Yeah. It's not like. My favorite example of this is when CM Punk gave that post-fight promo and he's like, I'm happy I just got to go out there and live my dream. And it's like, dude, you got your ass kicked for 3 straight rounds. Don't be happy about that. I get what you're saying, but no, you're not good at this.
No.
And a shout out to Mr. Phil Brooks on that note, because he's one of the few people who's blocked me on Twitter.
Really? Why are you blocked by Mr.
Maybe he doesn't like how I rank UFC fighters, or maybe I just said he wasn't a good UFC fighter and he got mad about it. I don't know.
It happens. I'm trying to think. I don't know if any UFC fighters have me blocked. Not that I've noticed.
Mm-hmm. What's funny is when he was in his WWE heyday, I was one of his biggest supporters. I was buying all of his merch. I was cheering for him against everybody from Undertaker to The Rock to whoever he could get a feud with. It's like I had nothing bad to say about the guy, and then he just blocks me on Twitter one day, and I'm like, dude, whatever. It's not like I stopped being a fan of yours. You just don't like me for some reason. I don't get it, but okay.
Yeah. Well, fighters
can be fickle.
I mean, it's hard to put yourself out there, and then people shit on you, whether rightfully so or otherwise.
But if Phil Brooks is being honest about it, I mean, he would have to say he wasn't a good UFC fighter. You can't think that he was.
No. But he probably doesn't. If he doesn't want to be reminded of it, he should be on Twitter. If he doesn't want to be reminded of it,
but, right? Yeah.
Filter in his tap water, I guess. The mute button is my best friend. Boy, do I mute a lot of people on Twitter.
Yeah, I've had to do that a few times.
I don't block most people because, barely anyone has ever said anything that makes me want them to not be able to see my feed and vice versa. But there's just definitely a lot of ideas I'd like to filter out.
Yeah, okay, well, I got the perfect example of putting somebody on mute. I had a John Jones stan, and I'm using that in the full Eminem term, a straight up stan. His Twitter handle was like John Jones fan for life, and he came at me for saying Dominic Reyes would beat him in a rematch. And he's like, no way, they're not even competitive. I'm like, dude, he beat him the first time and he didn't get the scorecards. And you're telling me he can't beat him the second? And then he started tagging other people from other MMA sites into the conversation and trying to get them to defend his position. And I'm like, you know what? I am muting this conversation because you are a John Jones stan and I'm not having it.
No, yeah, there's. I just try and ignore most online conversations because they're not fruitful. Like, like I had an unfortunate falling out with the. This is the first time I'm talking about publicly the MMA, the Reddit MMA mods, the r/MMA sub forum, and by the end of it, I'm like, is it possible for me to just talk on the phone with someone because I feel like a lot of tone is getting lost here.
Yeah, that's the problem with social media is you can't read people's tone.
Yeah, and I subsequently got a 28-day mute for that request. So
wow.
Yeah, what you gonna do? Off to Sherdog forums I go.
Hey, big shout out to Jeff Sherwood as long as we're giving people shout outs. That is a super nice dude.
For sure, shout out to him. Got the...
And Jack Encarnacio, as long as I'm at it. That's how I got to know Jeff, was doing many of the MMA roundtables with Jeff and Jack Encarnacio.
Oh, really?
Boy, got tongue-tied there.
That's a fun story.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff's got great old school stories. If you want to hear throwback back in the day UFC stories, he's got them all.
Well, you ever want to hear throwback MMA stories, sit down with Jordan Breen and don't say a word.
Oh yeah, Jordan too. Jordan is absolutely the king. Him and Jeff can really throw down with the stories.
Yes. Here we go. Michael Johnson, Clay Guida, about to get rolling. I might go grab some water real quick, in which case I might leave you to hold things down solo.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I got a bottle of water handy here too, so go get yourself one.
All right, one moment. Let me just do this first. Okay, I'll be right back.
Sure. I'll talk to the chat while you're gone. And Colby says, speaking of CM Punk, why the hell did Mike Jackson just get booked for another fight? Damned if I know, dude. I don't know why Mike Jackson, other than beating CM Punk, is even relevant. I think, wasn't he a backstage interviewer or a stand-up comedian before he had that fight? So I don't think fighting is his forte, but then again, fighting's not my forte, so I won't tell him what to do. And Russell Bull says, I'll be back when Overeem fights. Well, we hope so. I hope to see you then. And Colby says, with my luck, the main event will start around 3 a.m. What time zone are you in, Colby, that it's going to be 3 a.m. when it starts? Are you in Italy or France or something? Man, that's you might even be in Ireland, because when I talked to Donna Corby, it was like 4 a.m. for him in Ireland when we had our last Glove Up or Shut Up. And speaking of which, Donaldo, I apologize. I butchered your name there. I'm sorry about that. He just asked how to plug my stuff, and maybe he won't want to follow it after I just said that. But it's I'm at Angry Marks, ANGRYMARKS, and the podcast that I do with Peter H., who's my co-host from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, that's Glove Up or Shut Up. tinyurl.com/glove-up will get you to our Facebook page. Or if you search for Glove Up or Shut Up on iTunes, there should be an RSS feed that comes up. We try to get on various guests every other week, every few weeks. So I think Shaq is next up. We're going to have Shaq on for a show sometime soon if he'll agree to do it. And I'll ask him that when he comes back. And what else should I plug? Oh, MMA Mania, of course, where people call me the Bellator guy because I'm the Bellator beat reporter covering all of the stuff they've got going on, live fights, interviews, weigh-ins, press conferences. They've got some sort of mystery press conference on Tuesday, and they won't tell us what it's about. I got the invitation, and it said, save the date. Save it for what? Why am I saving it? I assume they're just going to announce their 2021 schedule, but they won't tell us that. I have no way of knowing. It could just be, guess what? We're moving to another network. We left Paramount, we left CBS Sports, and now we're going to Fox Sports. I mean, God only knows what they could do, but I'm hoping they just announce the upcoming fight cards, Peter thinks they're going to actually sign a bunch of the recently released UFC fighters, and I don't know what you guys in the chat think, but out of that list of names that came out, I don't see anybody that I think Bellator needs to put into any of their weight classes. Maybe Shaq can chime in on that if he's got the headset back on now. What do you think out of those released UFC fighters? Would you sign any of them if you were Bellator?
Oh God, can you give me some names? There've been like so many cuts.
The biggest name out of the last dozen that I saw was Shoeface. Yeah, would you sign him?
I have a feeling he might go. I should see what PFL's roster is like right now.
See,
but
I thought PFL would be a better fit for him. I think Bellator might be too. No offense to the guy, but I think PFL would be a better level for him.
Yeah. Let me see PFL middleweight roster. At one point he looked primed to make a serious impact, but
3-6 in UFC is not how you do that.
No. Okay, so unfortunately, PFL doesn't have their roster set up by weight classes, which is very strange to me.
I guess because they have a tournament every season, so they have to reset everything.
Actually, no, they do.
Oh, you found it? Okay.
Well, it's just under roster, but then they're organized by. Wow, they actually have quite a interesting roster now. Let me go through some names that stick out. Bubba Jenkins at featherweight. Lance Palmer, former champ there at PFL. Shaman Moraes, Tyler Diamond, Anthony Pettis, Clay Collard, Johnny Case, Marcin Held,
Rory McDonald, of course.
Roy McDonald now. Olivier Aubin-Mercier is there now.
Oh, always! I didn't realize he went.
I didn't know that either. Ray Cooper III, Cesar Fajea, Chris Camozzi. They got Tom Lawler. That's a good one.
Oh, Filthy Tom! Shout out to him.
And Canada's own Smilio Rama. They got an interesting lineup now. I think Shoeface would fit nicely, and at least right now, they don't have any middleweights on their 2021 roster that they've listed. So. It seems to be an open field, so I think that'd be a great fit for him.
He could probably be the number one seed if they do the brackets. Yeah,
probably.
Well, Bruce is introducing our next fight, so it's time for Guida and Johnson to do their thing.
Never will I forget when Clay Guida is sitting in his corner and his coach is trying to talk to him, and he just shoves the coach's face out of the way and lets out like a possessed, like I'm talking like full on exorcism burp.
Yeah.
Dude should start in a death metal band with that kind of those vocals.
Yeah, we get some Cannibal Corpse on the stream here.
Shout out to Luke Thomas. Shout out to Luke Thomas.
Kill, this is not my will. I am condemned to slay.
Okay, thank you to our staff writer Colby, who is clearly more prepared than I am. Shoeface, Reese McKee, Spike Carlisle. Sarah Morris. I love Sarah Morris. She's done a lot for. I have when I go to jiu-jitsu on a no-gi day, I'm rocking a pair of red UFC shorts that were given to me by Sarah Morris.
No shit.
Octagon
really?
worn. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear those. I wouldn't wear those to practice. I would frame them or something.
Yeah, I'm terrible with memorabilia. I do not keep good care of things. I had a Weird Al T-shirt that was autographed, and I've watched that thing so many times.
Oh no, dude, no.
Yeah.
I've actually seen Weird Al in concert in Des Moines, Iowa, and he is so good. Yeah.
Oh well, I remember the memories more fondly than the signature. So,
well, there's one that I will never, ever, ever wash, and it's a Colt Cabana autographed headband that he wore in WWE when he was Scotty Goldman.
That's pretty cool.
I won that in a raffle, and I'm never ever washing that thing.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so let's get to the fight. Michael Johnson, forward pressure. Ooh, hit Clay Guida well. He's still got those fast, accurate hands, man. Really one of the strangest UFC careers, but...
Yeah, it seems like every time Michael Johnson has gotten on a roll, he's lost to somebody he shouldn't lose to.
Exactly. Clay Guida got a nice overhand right in there, too, though.
And you can see Clay Guida
hit him hard.
Yeah. For all his wars that he's been in.
Hurt.
Yeah. He's still got it. He's still got that fire. He's still got that aggression.
I can't tell, but it looks like Johnson's eye's swelling already. He keeps touching it, and Guida keeps hitting it.
Well, we saw that in one of the prelims too. Somebody's eye got swollen.
Justin James.
Right.
Guida with the head. Oh, man. It's sad to see Michael Johnson fighting like this.
Yeah, he should be a level above this at this point in his career, but no.
I think he's fighting for his UFC career tonight.
Yeah, that's what I said in our pre-picks before the fight card started, was that this is there could be a pink slip on the line for either one of them.
You know, I was talking to, again, Farah Hanoun of MMA Junkie about this. I really don't see the UFC. I see Dana White getting to a point where if Clay's not competitive, saying, I think he should retire. But I think Clay's just one of those guys who's been with the promotion for so long that there's not going to be a cut. He's going to end his career at the UFC. If you don't see him fight on another UFC card again, he's not fighting, period. I don't suspect they'd release him and have him go elsewhere.
The Diego Sanchez factor there too. Like at some point he'll just lay the gloves down in the octagon and call it a day.
And I mean, how many times have we seen Michael Johnson on his back and it end well, right? Like very rarely.
Yeah, this is not good. And Guida is very quickly passing the guard here, getting to almost to side control. He's like 3/4 of the way there on my feed. So and he's got the arm around the neck too. This is definitely bad for Michael Johnson right now. He's in a world of trouble. And Guida's putting on the squeeze.
Got on Johnson. You know.
Oh, yeah. Johnson's getting back to his feet.
Oh, Clay Guida has a terrible cut on his head.
Yeah, when did that happen? Holy shit.
Like a clash of heads or something.
Yeah, I didn't see a punch that caused that. They had to have butted heads.
Yeah, the dude probably has some scar tissue, too.
Oh, Clay Guida scar tissue? Oh, no, not at all. No. That'd be like saying the late Dusty Rhodes had no scar tissue.
Or Abdullah the Butcher, perhaps, when I give a Canadian shout out.
Oh, yeah. And Abdullah is a legitimately scary dude. I mean, when somebody asks you if they can put a fork in you and you have to say no, I mean, come on.
There are two people in this world I never want to meet. Abdullah the Butcher is the lesser of the two, and then there's New Jack.
I
want to get anywhere close to New Jack.
See, I think I could deal with New Jack because I would just talk to him about hip hop for the whole time and not even bring up wrestling. I'd be like, let's talk about Public Enemy and BDP and LL Cool J and we'll be cool.
Yeah. I'm not running that risk. And is it wrong to say that I just don't feel like Michael Johnson's heart is in this 100% anymore.
Yeah, when you're getting it taken to you the way he's getting it taken to him right now, you kind of feel like he knows that the ship has sailed and that he's missed his opportunity one too many times now. He's doing it for the paycheck more than he's doing it for the possible future title shots, because I think he knows they're not coming. And
it's not even like I don't say that because of his lack of recent success. It's just more like even when he got taken down by Guida. And Guida was in a strong position. He had like the leg slice. Johnson was immediately complaining about it. And I don't know if he was complaining to the ref or complaining to himself, but I feel like perhaps he kind of gets. I was texting him actually not too long ago, and about like a media thing. It's like I don't really do that stuff anymore. Like he kind of seems like he's got at least his toes out of the game.
Yeah. Well, Eric says they did indeed clash heads. Maybe that's what he was complaining about to the ref, was the headbutt.
So, round one for Clay Guida, I'd say.
Definitely. 10-9 easy. Which actually raises a question I wanted to ask you, Shaq, because we had this debate when I had Donna Corby on this week. What do you think about more open scoring? Because right now there are very few commissions that allow you to judge it 10-8, 10-7. Do you think there should be more open scoring?
Do you mean open scoring in terms of flexibility or in terms of like actually the fighters seeing the scores round to round?
Well, you could make an argument for both. I would say more flexibility in the way it's scored and also letting the fighters know what the scores are between rounds.
So regarding more flexible scoring, I think the recent amendments to the scoring criteria has for the most part been effective. I think we're seeing enough 10-8s now. I'd like to have a bigger sample size and like revisit the conversation a year or two. But I think right now we're seeing 10-8s. We're seeing more draws. We're seeing more dominant rounds. I think it's a lot better than it was a couple years ago. So I'm content with it where it's at right now. Mm-hmm. I'd like to play more with open scoring. I do believe fighters will be more likely to. I don't think you'd see a lot of. Like the thing is, we already for the most part know a fighter knows for the most part when they're ahead, and they coast.
Right.
And we also get a lot of instances where the fight is close and both guys think they're ahead. So you see inactivity from both parties.
Mm-hmm. I think what's maddening is when the coaches bullshit their fighter and say, "You're clearly winning. You've got 2 rounds." That's like, no, don't tell him that. Don't make him think that he can coast for the 3rd round. Give him a pep talk. Let him know maybe if we had open scoring, you couldn't bullshit a fighter that way.
Like, look at the way Johnson settles for this takedown. Like,
he just gave that up. Waits. Yeah.
Like if there's one thing we've learned in modern MMA, using the cage, great way to get up, but don't accept it. The second your butt hits the floor, your butt should be back up. You should be scrambling the entire time.
Right. And when you repeatedly get taken down that easily, it tears your cardio up. You don't have anything left.
I think going back to the open scoring systems, I can't imagine you get an overall higher number of inactivity and timid fights because of open scoring. I think it can possibly get worse. It could only get better. So I'd like to see it more. And while we're at it, do away with the win-loss bonuses. It's nonsense that it's meant to incentivize fighters. All it's meant to do is to hold back 50% of a fighter's earning potential. Ryan Bader said it. A ton of fighters have said it. If I know how much I'm going to get paid and I don't have to worry about the consequences of losing my money, I'm going to fight harder because I want to earn more fans and I want you to pay me more next time. I want to be I know they're independent contractors, but I want to be a model employee. It's hard to do that when you're dangling half my money over my head, right? So,
but then I also think there should be punishments for missing weight that are stiffer than they are right now. Like if you're coming in 5 pounds heavier, I feel like holding half of the purse would be fair. Like, you know what? You didn't earn that. You knew what weight you were supposed to make. You shouldn't get that money.
Yeah, I would any day of the week, I will trade stiffer weight missing penalties for do away win losses. Yeah. Anthony Panone says, is Clay fighting? Yes, he is. Surprisingly, still at it and winning as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we talked about tone in social media, and I didn't know how to read that. I didn't know if he was asking if the fight was taking place or if that was maybe a side-talking comment, like, is Clay even trying to fight? You know, it's hard to read the tone on that question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something people gripe about all the time, and you've seen it, I've seen it. Oh, it's a huff fest. He's just taking him down for 3 rounds. I get so tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
I mean, any way that you win a fight is a legitimate way to win a fight. TKO, wrestling, submission, you win, you win. It doesn't matter how you win.
Hey, and I mean, I'll go back to it. If you want these fighters to be more exciting, don't withhold half their pay.
Right.
They might be more inclined to put on a good show if they don't have to worry about feeding their family.
Right. If they don't have that threat hanging over their head that they have to win to get the money.
Exactly. How could you not? I would be very calculated in my approach if, you know, my job was on, you know, my finances were on the line every time I went to work. Like,
not to mention what you spend in a fight camp comes out of your own pocket. You know, it's not like UFC is paying for these guys to train. They have to do it themselves.
If you're not aware of this, like from the guys I've talked to, it's a small sample size, but when it comes to not including like time missed from work, you're looking at about $12,000 in expenses for a fight camp.
Yeah.
So if you're a prelim guy,
12-week fight, yeah.
If you're a prelim guy on your first fight and you lose, you could be coming out of your fight, especially in like Bellator, possibly in the UFC. I don't know what their bottom end pay is these days.
Some of the bottom guys get like 5 and 5, 15 and 15.
Okay, so if you're getting 5 and 5 or even 12 and 12, if you lose that fight, you're either losing money or breaking even.
Mm-hmm.
For 12 weeks of work, basically.
Right. That's a tough proposition. And then not to mention, if you're not somebody that's in UFC where they have health insurance for all their fighters and you have to pay your own medical bills, you could be way in debt.
For sure. I'm gonna go to our pal Colby here. First round was pretty good. Second round, not so much.
Yeah. That's why I thought maybe Anthony was asking us if it was even a fight, because I think he didn't like that second round.
And Alabava. But you do not want to see my betting books tonight. I would recommend you seek that advice elsewhere. Perhaps MMA Mania. They've got a great guide.
Mm-hmm. Or let's see, MMA Oddsbreaker. I bet they probably have
Adam Martin's probably got some stuff for you. Go to Dan Tom. At Dan Tom MMA. He's probably got some odds for you.
Mm-hmm. I think Adam Martin was getting really dogged on social media during UFC 257. It was kind of weird.
Why did he lose? Did he cost people a bunch of money?
I don't know if it was because he cost people money or because he disagreed with the decision on one of the fights, but he just started getting mad amounts of hate. And I finally tweeted him and I said, dude, just ignore it. None of us that actually know you, that have talked to you or work with you, feel that way. Just ignore it.
Yeah, I agree.
And the third round is brought to us by the U.S. Army, which means absolutely nothing to you, Shaq.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Do they even show the same on the streams? Do you get the ads for the armed forces, or is that exclusive to United States when they stream it here?
Yeah, no, we don't get those.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get those.
Looked like Clay got his head snapped back there on one of those punches.
Speaking of the balding, I can see the scalp a little bit. We're slowly getting there. Oh, he got hurt. Or is he just being a crazy man? Nice take. Good response, though. That's savvy veteran stuff. They just go right there.
Mm-hmm. Johnson is connecting here and there with that left hand, but Clay's going to stifle that with a takedown here. Yep. But you can definitely see Clay is standing on top. I don't know if it's as much as me or not, but you getting tired, Shaq?
Yes. It was a long day. They always are, but Sean always describes it as, when he tries to explain to pro wrestling fans what it's like to cover MMA for a living. It's like going through a WrestleMania every Saturday. Except way worse because the fights suck half the time.
Oh, I do not advocate for standing in line to get into a WrestleMania. It makes it that much more miserable to sit inside the stadium for 6 to 7 hours when you've already been online for 2 hours just trying to get through the gate.
Craziness. I will say though, I do like that. Because I almost exclusively shout out to Roxanne Modafferi. What a sweet woman she is.
And a legend. A true legend of the sport.
True legend. I'd still rather consolidate all of my work into one day since I cover UFC and then Bellator, which isn't running yet in 2021, versus having to be Sean sitting through NXT, AEW, Raw, SmackDown,
Impact
205
Wrestling,
Live, Impact Wrestling,
Ring of Honor,
MLW, possibly New Japan. So what are we thinking of this third round? Because the way I see it, got a submission attempt. That appears to be on the chin, but I don't like how. This is under the chin now.
Oh, it's deep. This is trouble.
Bro, it is not a Michael Johnson fight without a third round submission loss.
It does seem to be the order of the day when it comes to him.
Well, keep in mind, this is similar to how Mike Rodriguez went unconscious. He was fighting the top hand, but his opponent had a good squeeze with the choking arm. This doesn't seem to be quite the same situation. I think Johnson has a better grip on the tying arm, and
he's pulling up on it pretty well. So
it's also not quite as the choking pressure isn't quite as strong on the side it's on currently.
Yeah, I might have spoken too soon when I said that was in deep. I may have jumped the gun there.
I think it's fair to say that the choking arm was in. It's just I don't think the position was optimal. It would have worked. It works better on this side from my experience.
Yeah. And he's still got enough time left to try to get it back in there unless Johnson gets to his feet or spins out on top, which either one's possible. Oh, no. I thought he was going to sink it in there, but he didn't. Yeah, this is not good for Michael Johnson. Oh man. This could be the swan song for him.
Okay, I'm gonna while we're waiting on the last 30 seconds here, I'm gonna go to Colby in the chat. I'm gonna out Colby here. This man works far too hard, and I keep telling him, stop offering to do things. Yeah. So I hope this 3-card span in the 7-day stretch taught him a lesson about taking care of his own personal needs and not always prioritizing the job. Thank you very much.
I freely admit there was a point last year where Bellator had 3 cards in 7 days. God. And I said to them, guys, I need a break. I can't do all 3 of them. And they said, fine, which one do you want off? I'm like, give me the Paris show off. As long as I can take a break from that, I'll be good for the rest. So I didn't see the Czech Congo main event in Paris. That was the only one. That was the only Bellator. That was the, I know, right? But that was the only Bellator card I didn't cover last year. Good show of respect between these two at the end.
Agreed.
Clay seems to think he's got it in the bag. He's got his hands up.
I seem to think that was 2 rounds to 1 at least for him.
Yeah, I can't imagine it any other way.
Well, I mean, you said the same thing about Dariush Fahea, and then
right. I know. I shouldn't say that.
Does Sal D'Amato get too much hate? I feel like he mostly gets it right. He just judges so much that people remember a lot of faulty ones.
I mean, that might even be the case for Cecil Peoples. It may be that people hate him by association just because they hear the name so much.
Okay, is Cecil Peoples the ref who goes like, "What?" Is like the karate shit before back in the day?
I haven't seen him ref enough to be sure of that. I
swear that's him.
It could be. I mean, I think he was better known for boxing back in the day.
Yes,
so yeah, that's probably his trademark from boxing.
What would your move be if you're a referee, Steve? Yamasaka's got the heart.
Are we talking MMA ref or pro wrestling ref?
MMA ref. Everyone's got their thing, right? You got the heart. You got weird chop.
I think I do the cactus jack. I do the finger gun salute.
I love it. I'm gonna go. What do I want to do? You know what? As cliche as it is, I think it'd be super amusing to see. I don't know if it's copyrighted to see a ref throw up the "you can't see me" at the audience every time.
Why not? I mean, if nothing else, you could get a pop from John Cena on social media, and that'd blow up your followers immediately.
There you go. Clay Guida.
Still jumping up and down, even though the fight's over. He never stops moving.
Dude, that man is like a ball of energy. He's like a little chihuahua.
He is.
All right. Promotional graphics.
I feel like we should start playing Boys to Men for Michael Johnson now. So we've come to the end of the road. I think he's done. I don't think he comes back after this.
No, dude. What's the point if you can't? No offense. I mean, Clay is terrific at this age, but I mean, you have to decide what is it you're fighting for, right? And if you can't, if you have a deep yearning to fight, you can find somewhere to do it. But for Michael Johnson, I don't think the UFC is it anymore.
No, and I think with whether you intended it or not, it was an accurate statement. Like, if you're not beating Clay Guida, where are you? Because he is the gatekeeper for this division. If you're not beating Clay Guida,
I'm sorry, he is still hopping.
Yeah, his energy is unbreakable. I think that man probably hops when he eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He's just always moving.
Shout out to the crew member and production who had to just shove the mic back into his face.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully they're following COVID protocol for that. I'm sure he's masked up, but man, got to reach in there when he's all sweating and bleeding. I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many guys do we see who are already in the UFC Hall of Fame for a fight who are still fighting?
Truly. What do you think is your requirements to be a UFC Hall of Famer? Not Hall of Fame fight, strictly a standalone Hall of Famer.
I think as long as you've been a top level, like pay-per-views regularly, fight nights regularly, if you've won at least as much as you've lost and you've always been featured, then you're in the conversation. But if you've been a world champion at least once, then it's a no-brainer.
Okay, so like, what would you say about like a Diego Sanchez in terms of?
Diego is absolutely a UFC Hall of Famer. Just by the virtue of the longevity that he's been fighting and the fact that he goes all the way back to Ultimate Fighter 1, the show that made UFC what it is. I think he's earned that just on that.
Yeah, so you do give something to the longevity, even if perhaps you haven't achieved at the highest level.
Well, I would argue that Diego at times did achieve. It's just you can't stay at the top forever.
Sure, but we're talking about, like, for example, you said if it's a world champ, it's a no-brainer.
Well, right. So. He didn't ever win a world title, but I think the fans would say this even if I didn't. He's had such amazing fights with some of the best fighters that even in those losing performances, he's still earned the esteem to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree.
Which, I mean, you could have said the same thing about Michael Bisping. If he had never won a world title, that dude would still be a Hall of Famer.
I agree. So I guess it depends how exclusive you want to make it. For me, I think when you think this fighter, do you think UFC? You know, I'm looking at a graphic right now. Kamaru Usman, I think UFC. Gilbert Burns, not yet. Macy Barber, no. Alexa Grasso, no. Kelvin Gastelum, probably on his way.
Yeah, because he was an Ultimate Fighter guy, so he came up through the ranks.
So yeah, Jim Miller. Jim Miller is a weird one. I see him more as like the ultimate MMA veteran, but I don't necessarily think like UFC Hall of Famer when I think Jim Miller. But I'd like to see him in there.
I think he underachieved in terms of his potential, but I also think he over-delivered in terms of exciting fights. So it's hard for me to say he's not.
Shout out to this. Belal versus Lima isn't on the main card, but Maki Pitolo versus Julian Marquez is. I'll only give that a pass if Belal Muhammad versus Douglas Lima is the prelim headliner, because they do usually give a good amount of respect to that spot.
And Belal will make sure you remember the names, so don't worry about that.
Isn't it weird that Sandhagen went from main eventing a card against Marlon Moraes to co-main eventing on a card with Frankie Edgar? I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm sure they have metrics support their decision, but I just feel like Sandhagen Edgar is the bigger fight than Overeem and Volkov.
In
terms of what's at stake, where they are in the rankings. In terms of
what's at stake, it's obviously a bigger fight, but in pure name recognition, you're not going to get, no pun intended, you're not going to get much bigger than Alistair Overeem.
Okay.
This is a guy who main evented with Brock Lesnar, and people still remember that a decade later.
That is true. I think that's fair. I think I'm not giving. I think I'm putting Frankie and Alistair too close to one another in my head. Frankie Edgar, Hall of Famer, without a doubt. Okay, Alistair Overeem. Is Alistair Overeem a UFC Hall of Famer?
I suppose that depends on whether you consider the fact that UFC absorbed Strikeforce and whether or not you count that as part of his UFC record. Because if you do, yes.
Did UFC technically acquire Pride or just the tape and the likeness?
The Pride stopped running shows, so that tells me that they acquired all of the assets, the trademarks, the tapes, everything.
So yeah, I mean, if you're going to include that, do you ever see them having like a Pride wing? I think they will eventually.
If they need some sort of marketing publicity stunt, they could have a UFC Hall of Fame ceremony where they introduce the Pride Wing and they milk the hell out of that for whatever promotional value it has. But I feel like there's this tendency to discredit Pride and say that they were the pro wrestling of mixed martial arts, and sometimes they were, but the fighters that came from Pride to UFC were legit badasses. So I feel like it's almost sour grapes on UFC's part that they go, well, yeah, but you're not a real fighter until you're in UFC. I think there is sort of that mentality there.
My only problem with the UFC Hall of Fame, and I mean, maybe in the long term, this is the right thinking in terms of, the problem with the WWE Hall of Fame, for example, is they include so many people every year that at this point it's just so oversaturated, and some of the inclusions are really questionable.
And when you start putting in fights and not fighters, then you're really stretching the boundary of what a Hall of Fame is. Is it for people, or is it for cards, or is it for fights? What is it for?
So I will say, I feel like they don't. How long have they been doing the Hall of Fame? Do you know?
I would say at least 5 or 6 years, because the last time I went for one of the UFC fight weeks, 4th of July week, there was a Hall of Fame induction, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago.
It's 2003.
They've been doing it since 2003?
Here it says Hoist Gracie Pioneer Wing, November 21st, 2003.
Oh, well, maybe they just haven't been making a fan events out of it that whole time. Because it seems to me like that started when they turned it into International Fight Week, and then they would have the Hall of Fame ceremony and have people come.
Yeah, I'd like to see them include a few more people. Like, when you look at the non-Pioneer Wing, if you look at the modern wing, we got Rashad Evans, Michael Bisping, Ronda Rousey, Forrest Griffin, BJ Penn, Uriah Faber. But no, it's good. I think I'm crapping on it too much. You got Hoist Gracie in here, Randy Couture, Dan Severn, Chuck Liddell, Ken Shamrock, Matt Hughes. It's a pretty good Hall of Fame. There's no one that I look at, I'm like, why are they in there? Although, for example, they have Kazushi Sakuraba in their Pioneer Wing, so it appears that they do
recognize people outside Pride. Of UFC. Yeah.
So I guess we will see. I think if Sakuraba's in there, you're going to see Overeem in there at some point. Then
absolutely.
Right. Okay. All right, Cory Sandhagen clapping his hands on his way into the cage.
You must be a few seconds ahead of me then.
I am.
Yeah, because where I'm watching, he's still getting greased up.
Okay, let me fix that real quick.
Yeah, if I try to restart this ESPN Plus stream, it might crash again.
Don't do it. Sandhagen, people love to talk about how he lives with 2 women. It's like it is their favorite thing to bring up.
Well, you know what? If he makes it work, more power to him.
Yeah, it's not like a throuple though, right? Like I don't think I think he's only in a relationship with one woman.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know his personal life. I don't need to know his personal life.
No. I mean, more power to him and his partner, whatever it is they're doing. But I just feel like, from my understanding of the situation, people are really blowing it out. It's just in the year 2021, when you can genuinely like see, polygamous relationships in North America.
Tiger King. Everybody watched Tiger King. We've seen plenty of polygamous relationships.
Dude, you see them with like legitimate, like not just like freaks off Tiger King. You see them with like legitimate celebrities now, where they have like a husband and a wife, but they both also have like this one girl who's like their girlfriend. So it's just funny to me that everyone makes such a big deal of Sandhagen and his partner having a roommate that's a woman.
Yeah, to me, that's a non-issue.
Yeah. And it's like by 20, maybe like in the 1980s, 1990s, that would be scandalous, but it just seems normal at this point. Like,
I think if you were in the Hollywood set, it probably wouldn't be scandalous, but if it got into the tabloids, it would be scandalous.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I don't know where Sandhagen lives, but in Vancouver, man, like, you need roommates.
It's expensive, huh?
Yeah, bro, is it expensive?
I wonder how it compares to Eastern Michigan, and I haven't lived there for 21 years now, but it was go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give you first. Let's get each other synced up again. So I'll pause once the clock starts.
Okay.
Because it's about to. Frankie Edgar rocking the facial hair.
Sandhagen is still being introduced by Bruce Buffer.
Oh yeah, I'm well ahead of you then. Okay, I am pausing it at 4:55. So let me know when you get there.
All right. But as for rent and housing costs in Vancouver, how bad?
Okay, so I have my girlfriend and I own a 700 square foot apartment.
Mm-hmm.
In a nice, like, kind of establishing part of town. But it's not.
I'm at 455 now. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But by far, it's not the most like lucrative neighborhood, and they pay 2,100. Our tenants pay about $1,650 a month for a 1-bedroom, 700 square foot apartment.
And that's Canadian dollars, of course.
No, that's US. 1,600
US. 1,600. Whoa! Oh, snap!
Oh my God!
That's brutal.
Dude, Sandhagen's ready.
Oh man. I'm genuinely concerned about Frankie Edgar after that.
Terrible.
Oh my. You notice they're keeping the cameras away.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So. Oh man. Wow. The chat is blowing up on that too. Colby and Donaldo are both marking out right now over that finish.
That was insane. I didn't expect to see it that quick.
Oh, right on the chin, right on the button. Immediately, it over instantaneously. That is worthy of everybody's favorite finish, Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren. That is legitimately comparable. That is a knee on the button immediately. Not as fast as what happened to Funky Ben, but just as devastating in its impact.
Dude, like, who is this Cory Sandhagen? Between this and the Marlon Moraes one?
That is two amazing finishes back to back. That is studly. That is elite level studly. Yeah, I think I'm with Joseph Boza. He should stick around and be there for UFC 259. If they need an alternate for that fight with Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, he should be ready. He didn't take any damage in that fight, so clearly he doesn't need time off.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Colby back in the chat. Losing to Aljamain sneakily being the best thing that ever happened to him. This is a different Cory Sandhagen than the one. Look, the Cory Sandhagen that fought Aljamain Sterling, despite getting out grappled there, was still a competitive, complete, interesting fighter. But like, Sandhagen snapped. He's not messing around at all anymore.
No, it's that, sometimes fighters just have that go for broke mentality. I think Khamzat showed us that last year, where he's like, you know what? I got nothing to lose by losing, so I'm just going to go for broke every time. And sometimes when you get that mentality, it pays off.
It's incredible. Shout out to Cory Sandhagen. I hope Frankie Edgar is all right, though, because
that was a brutal, brutal knee. I'm sure he'll be fine, but it looked bad at the moment it happened.
Yeah, it was. I can't imagine Frankie Edgar going, like, retiring like that, but I have a hunch. This was supposed to be his great campaign, finally dropping in weight.
Yeah,
he can do it in this third division.
And it didn't work out for him.
It didn't work out. So I hope he takes a winnable fight and
retires on that.
Retires.
Yeah,
he has nothing to prove.
No.
Tough.
This reminds me of a Saturday Night Live skit where I believe, who was it? The catchphrase was, "You hate to see it, but also you love to see it." Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about.
The nature of the sport. And it rings true, dude. It's, one man's trash is another man's treasure sort of thing. But sort of reverse that, right? Like, someone's always got to lose to the expense of creating a new star, and Cory Sandhagen's that, man. Cory Sandhagen is that. He needs to get. I mean, I think it's impossible that he's not going to get the winner of Peter Yan Aljamain Sterling at this point.
Not after a performance like that. Not just the caliber of the knockout, but who he just knocked out. He earned it after that.
Agreed. Oh, hey, shout out to Nick Baldwin who made it on the screen with a tweet that just went, "Oh my God," followed by Brett Okamoto, who had much the same thing to say.
Oh. If I wasn't on the live stream, I probably would have had the exact same reaction on Twitter. I'd be tweeting about it right now instead of talking about it with you, and I'd be going, holy shit, what the fuck? I'm not going to get tired of watching that replay. And again, I feel bad for Frankie Edgar, but man, the more times they show this, the more brutal it looks. And you can see the lights are out, no one's home. He's instantly done. You know, sometimes fighters, their legs kind of wobble a little bit. No, there was none of that here. He dropped. Yeah.
He shut him off completely.
Light switch on, light switch off. He went out. Joseph Boza, what about TJ Dillashaw, who is hell-bent on getting a title shot?
No offense, TJ. Come back and fight someone.
Right. If you want this, then come beat Cory Sandhagen. Prove it.
Yeah. I wanna see Sandhagen get a next title shot. TJ
can wait.
The only thing, if Aljamain Sterling wins the title and
then TJ wants Aljamain, you'd do it?
Perhaps, I don't know. I'm just saying if there's any justification to not give Cory Sandhagen the fight is the argument that Aljo beat him very recently. That's the only thing I can think of. But I think Sandhagen deserves a title shot either way.
I do too. Not any way you can deny him after that. And they're putting up the stats to justify it. Most wins in the bantamweight division since 2018. He's ahead of everybody and only behind the champ.
Only behind the champ. There you go. He got so high on that knee too. That was perfectly placed.
Yeah, again, I want to say that might even be better than Masvidal and Askren because the elevation that he got to land that knee. Like Askren was shooting when he got clipped, but Edgar was not shooting.
Yeah, and the quality of opponent too. But I think aesthetically, the way that Ben Askren got knocked out, I see why people might disagree with you. But in terms of the actual strike itself, I'm full, and the level of competition, I fully support you.
Yeah. This is going to be like the GIF of 2021. I can see it right now.
Seriously. All right, time to sit down again.
So you said you're actually recommended by an orthopedist to constantly get up and sit down?
The idea is, because I have a standing desk and that's great and all, but the idea is that it's not exclusively the sitting or standing that's harming you. It's the fact that it's like with arthritis too. It's like you're in the same position for 8 to 12 hours of the day. And that's just, your body's not built to be carrying your weight in the same way all the time. So sit, relieve the tension from certain parts of your body, stand, relieve the tension from other parts. So
yeah, that's why I ended up getting a gym membership, because I realized that doing my MMA coverage and sitting in front of a laptop all day, every day was not good for me. I had to get out and get up and move.
I agree. That the gym went from something I went to because I thought I should to something I go to because I need to, because it's the only time I feel better.
Right. And if this will sound weird and some people might disagree, chat might disagree, but if you're having joint problems, water aerobics is fantastic.
I believe it, dude. Water, anything is great. It's like a full body workout.
Yeah, because you're using the resistance of the water to train your muscles, and you're also taking the weight of gravity off your muscles because you get the buoyancy of the water. So,
oh, I see. I didn't even think about that part of it. That makes a lot of sense. Too bad we have a pool in our gym.
It's anabolic and aerobic at the same time.
Ah, good idea. All right. They're dropping the Eminem music video now.
I can't even hear it. I've got it turned down so we don't get flagged for a copyright.
Oh, thank God. Thank you.
My wife asked me that. She asked me that before. She was like, "Are you going to be streaming the video, or are you just going to be streaming yourself?" I'm like, "No, we are not streaming UFC. We're not doing that.
No.
Unless people can make it out on the reflection of my lenses, that's the only way."
Yeah, no, we don't need to get flagged here. We want clickbait. We want people to click on this thinking like I didn't get the stream. Although it says watch along on the thumbnail and the headline. So anytime someone clicks on this and complains,
they should know better.
You did it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. I like this idea from Eric Saldes. He says, next thing you know, Shaq will be hanging upside down like Batman to relieve spinal pressure. Yeah, and you just highlighted it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to really out myself, I do have my lacrosse ball here for massaging my back and my feet.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I am too young to be in this much pain, so you do what you gotta do.
Well, then don't worry about it until you get to my age, and then you can really worry.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, since I went to the physio, I'm like, it turns out like I have not like a concernable amount, but like a little bit of scoliosis. Oh. The spine is not 100% straight.
You got a little curvature there.
Yeah, I got a bit of curvature, which explains like why the pain is worse on my left side. And on top of that, like I've always been I always used to like be like, oh, suit, I'm super flexible. That's dope. Look at me. I can do all this stuff. But my joints aren't as strong because they're hypermobile. They've got too much range of motion.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn all this stuff about yourself. So they just played inside the music video. They played a clip of Eminem dissing Dana White on Sports Center, and now he's at a press conference with Dana. But I remember that video came out. People were like, "Oh my God, did Eminem just call out Dana White?"
Who doesn't Eminem call out? Eminem calls out everybody.
Yeah, but it was all a marketing play, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So. I mean, honestly, that's the best thing you can do for your career is get called out by Eminem. Unless you're Dana White. Dana doesn't need it, but other people do.
I was so disappointed when it turned out it wasn't real. I was really stoked to see Eminem shit on people.
How many times, I cannot begin to tell you, Shaq, how many times I've had to tell people it's pro wrestling, it's not real, they staged it. Like when Pat McAfee went after Adam Cole, when they had their fight on the Pat McAfee show, I was like, guys, that was staged.
Of course.
The fact that they're doing it on NXT the next week should tell you that.
Yeah, that's when you know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I agree with some of the sentiments in the chat. Louis Henry, I still got Eric up here. Luis Enrique says, I wanted to see more of Sandhagen's footwork. Like, my favorite kind of... Tell me what yours is. My favorite kind of finish is like a 4th round or a 5th round finish. I want to see... Or I guess in a 3-round fight of 3. I want to see a late finish because I want to enjoy the brunt of the fight without it going to a decision. Like, that was incredible, but I feel like I've been robbed of the opportunity to see an interesting fight.
I think the pendulum can swing either way on that. If it's been a long night and every fight on the card has gone to a decision and the main event ends in 10 seconds, I'm like, yes, thank you. But if all the fights are ending in 1st round finishes and then you get a nice epic 3-round war with a late finish, then it feels great. Then it's like, yeah, I got to see 2 people at the best elite level of the game take it to the limit, and then with 5 seconds left to go, you see the finish. You see Demetrius Johnson tap somebody out with just seconds left to go, and then it feels special to see that.
Yeah.
So I think the card makes the fight. I know people say the styles make the fight, but sometimes the card makes the fight too.
Shout out to MMA Mania. They won me some money tonight. So,
yes, and to the Maniacs, to all those crazy people in our chat. I don't even know if I call it a chat. It's the comments section, but people respond back and forth to each other like it is a chat room. So it kind of is a chat.
That was well. People ask why they played an entire music video. Well, what else?
To kill time, yeah.
Doing?
They're padding out the broadcast now. This is my favorite thing ever when I'm at a live event, when they have 40 minutes of nothing going on and you have to just sit there with your laptop and figure out what to do.
Like, it's okay if you're actually at the show. If you're in a crowd, they got like little festive, they got stuff going on to keep the crowd entertained. It's a great time to go get some food and some drinks, right? You can talk to your friends, but sitting home just watching it and like as much fun as I have, and I honestly have had a ton of fun having you here, Steve. Like, this is the kind of moment where I'd be working on a video for like 20 minutes and keeping myself occupied. But now we're just stuck here trying to fill dead air with nothing going on.
No, I totally understand, because I mean, I've got a YouTube channel which is totally inappropriate to the conversation we're having, but since we're filling time anyway, youtube.com/MMF187, and if I wasn't doing this, that's what I'd be working on. I'd be making videos for my video game channel, talking about the newest video games, the latest products I've tried. Just put up a review of a Tomy wired USB SNES style controller, so people can check that out if they want. It's only got 20 views right now, so I'll take any more views I can get.
Yeah, why don't you send me the link and I'll put it on the YouTube live chat myself.
All right.
Don't post it in here because it like spams it to like Facebook and Twitter, and it gets really messy.
But I'll send it to you with a DM right now.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll share it on our YouTube live chat for people to go check out.
All right. It's done.
Sweet. Let me just tweak this article before it goes.
And I just got followed by Pat McAfee Stan, so I think somebody heard my comments on the live stream.
That's actually Colby over there. So.
Oh, is that Colby doing that? All right.
Colby. Yeah, for the first like 2 months, I just kept referring to him as Pat.
I'll follow him back. It's all good.
Oh wait, that's the wrong one. I'm trying to see. Go Crazy wants to know who won. I don't know what fight you're talking. People. This only happens on Periscope and Facebook, where people just chime in with questions with like no context, no context or reference.
Yeah.
Go Crazy. Let me do you a solid, my brother. Let me give you the full rundown. Cory Sandhagen, knockout of the year candidate, shut off Frankie Edgar's lights with a 30-second knockout. Beneil Dariush wins a split decision that should have been a unanimous decision. Clay Guida got a unanimous decision over Michael Johnson. Alexander Pantoja, decision win over Manel Kopp. And then what's the one I'm missing? Oh yeah, Mike Rodriguez got tapped out. But you're not asking about that. You're asking about the main event, and it hasn't even started, bro. But they did just play UFC, an Eminem music video to kill the time.
And now Brussels Bull is asking again, is Overeem about to fight?
Yes. He is about to fight.
Yes. Yeah. Now your timing is correct, Brussels Bull.
You're back. We're happy to have you.
Brussels had his bull, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, Brussels had his bull. Okay, one second. I got to get something up real quick. Let's see. Below.
Did Usman already finish? Bro, Usman is not fighting tonight. And you just highlighted that one on the stream.
Go Crazy. What my homie? What are you what are you watching? Where have you been? Kamaru Usman fights next Saturday.
Maybe
Gilbert Burns, UFC 258.
Maybe he's got a TARDIS like Doctor Who, and he's traveling.
So I've been binge watching Doctor Who with my girlfriend, so it's perfect that you say that. That was literally the thought crossing my mind right now.
It could be like we've got a River Song moment here where she's got the book and she knows everything that happened, and she goes, "Spoilers, sweetie." You can't tell him. You can't let him know. It's happened for you, but it hasn't happened for him.
It's okay. We're just happy to have you here. If you want to make it up to us, you can go to youtube.com/Fightful MMA. Hit that subscribe button. Wouldn't that be fancy?
And youtube.com/MMF187. Not as fancy, but if you like video games, I'll hook you up.
Yeah. My girlfriend Allie and I just got through Blink. season 3. Classic
nice
episode, Weeping Angels. I was very excited to get her through that one.
Yes. And legitimately makes me nervous now when I see an angel statue. I'm like, I don't know how I feel. It like puts that seed of doubt in your head that every statue could be more than a statue.
Exactly. And at the end, they nod to that. They just start shooting photos of random statues around the world, and the girlfriend's like, all right, close the blinds.
Hopefully you don't have any statues outside your home. Then no. Dude, some of the sickest statues I saw were the churches in Montreal. They have some really gothic statues.
They do. They really, really do.
And Volkov's making his walk now. I sometimes think if Volkov wasn't as tall as he was, he would have been a light heavyweight. He just ended up in the heavyweight class because of his sheer volume of body.
Facts. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Okay, cool. This is perfect.
Let's go Holloway. What? I think Go Crazy might just be trolling us here. I don't know if he's serious or not.
I think he's just having fun with it at this point, but indeed, let's go Holloway.
Wouldn't mind another 28-second knockout. You know what, Colby? I wouldn't either, but I don't expect it. Joseph Boza says, "Lol, troll alert." Yeah, we're hip to that. We got it.
It probably took me longer than it should have, but anyways, we're happy to have.
Well, you've had a long day. You said so yourself, so you're entitled.
It is hard to keep your energy up throughout these watch-alongs, but I'm still happy to do them. I'm still happy to have you guys here. They're fun to do. I was telling you before we went live that I'd rather be doing this with everyone around for 3 hours than to be doing 1 hour of post-show stuff alone in my studio. So.
Right, exactly. Recapping it alone by yourself is so much harder after the fact.
Agreed. All right, Alistair Overeem. I might be ahead of you again.
No, the lights just went down for Overeem to walk out. So
okay, cool. I have him walking to the cage right now.
Okay, you might be a second or two ahead then, but not much more.
Cool. We'll double check once we go. More people want to know who won. I
think
you, because you haven't missed it yet.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's only people on Facebook and Periscope.
I believe you. I can't see where the chats are coming from. Is that the little icon there that's next to? Oh, okay. So which one is Periscope? Is it the one next to Go Crazy? Is that?
Yes, that's
the Periscope one. Okay.
All right. Let's see where your tweet is at. Steve.
Donaldo is picking Volkov for the main event. Hey, let's do that, chat. Go ahead and pick your winner of the main event. Who's going to win this?
Overeem. I'm going to go Overeem.
I'll go Overeem as well. Now Colby is doing it too. He just said, "Who won?"
Wow. He went the extra. Okay, I'll put him on the screen for this. He went the extra effort. And he went to Facebook to do it.
Just to make sure that you were living up to that. It's only people on Facebook and Periscope. He went out of his way to get that right. Yeah. And Joseph says Overeem by decision. Martin Relhill says Volkov. Eric Saldi says Volkov third round knockout.
There we go. Yeah, I'll show respect there. Yeah, it seems 50-50. Volkov is an interesting case. Like I was asking Farah this, like, what is his role in the heavyweight division? Because it went from being like legit title challenger to I don't want to call him a gatekeeper, but he definitely has not followed through on some of the potential that was expected of him after the Fabricio Verdum win and the 4 minutes and 55 seconds, or the 14 minutes and 55 seconds of the Derek Lewis fight. Beyond that, it's kind of petered out a little bit, the hype.
It is hard to say where Volkov really stands. I think that's the importance of this fight in a nutshell, is if he wins, sorry about that, if he wins, it definitely puts him in the upper echelon of the heavyweight division, but otherwise, then he probably is just a gatekeeper for guys to beat on their way up to getting a heavyweight title shot. He's got to prove that he is in the conversation as one of the top guys and not just a former Bellator champion.
Yeah. So I guess tonight will be a good... We'll answer a lot of questions in terms of what sort of long-term potential he's got.
Mm-hmm. Both men are looking physically primed and ready to go. Neither one looks out of shape or like they didn't prepare well. So this should be an exciting fight.
I hope so. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Since this is the main event, I'll give one final reminder. If you could please subscribe and tap that notification bell, that would do so much for us. We got a lot of fun, interesting, unique sorts of twists on MMA news content well on its way. If you care to, a little super chat donation makes a good impression on the boss. Let that money fly. I'll take off my clothes for you.
Yeah, give the Burger King $1. Just hand it out there.
All right, here we go. Volkov fixing that terrible stingray tattoo by doing like a full body back tattoo. It's a big improvement, I will say that.
That is the Steve-O from Jackass solution to tattoos. When you get a bad tattoo, tattoo another tattoo on the tattoo. Still, I don't think any tattoo I've seen in MMA has ever been worse than Alan the Talent Belcher.
Oh, God, that Johnny Cash one is just awful.
Yeah, Johnny Cash looking like he was puffed up like a jellyfish, just whoa, like that's not even Johnny Cash. I don't know what that is, but it's not him.
No, it's definitely not him.
Colby, God, I forgot how bad that stingray was. I think that's what he wants, is for people to forget. Oh, snap. I think my stream just froze.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm going to have to restart it.
The fight?
It froze on Alistair Overeem doing this with his hands.
Terrific.
Like in mid-pose.
Okay. Overeem with a huge... Or sorry, I'll keep you updated. Volkov with a huge leg kick early into the round, and it snapped his leg like far. But, thus far, Overeem kind of flat-footed, just chilling there.
All right. See if I can get this back. And this time it wasn't because you asked me to pause it or restart it, so...
Can't blame me this time.
Nope. I'll blame Conor McGregor. Somehow he caused it. He told people to watch.
Yes, he did. Yeah, let me know when you're back.
If he does, I mean, I'm sure their stream would get like 10,000 more views the moment he tweeted it. So.
Seriously, dude, Volkov is... You're right, Volkov is enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Overeem looks small now. I mean, he's thick, but he looks naturally smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Overeem's the more muscular guy, and he still pales in comparison to the size of Volkov here.
Indeed. And it's circling, and I've got it back now. 3 minutes, 55 seconds left in the first.
Ooh, okay, I have to do some pausing here for you. Few big shots from Overeem.
Mm-hmm. It almost looks like he's got the late MF Doom tattooed on his back.
Well, shout out to that. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to stop mine at 3:30, and you can let me know when you got that.
I just hit 3:30.
Oh, okay, then I won't do anything.
Mm-hmm. If I was Volkov, I'd be kicking that lead leg right now because Overeem is really far out in his stance. I think maybe Overeem realized that too, because now he's backing up and trying to reset. But he's also given up space to Volkov by doing that. Looks like Volkov might have caught a hard one right above the right eye. I see some swelling there.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Mm-hmm. Of course, he's kind of pale, so every punch shows up like blood on a white canvas.
That's pretty funny.
Overeem's giving him a lot of respect. He's not trying to run in there and clobber him. He's taking his time.
Yeah, and I find this is how Overeem's fights tend to start now. There's a lot of feeling out.
Nice uppercut there.
Ooh, very good uppercut. It's crazy what he can still do at 40.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Overeem has definitely become more patient. Clip. Oh, he got clipped there. Oh, he's in trouble.
Uh-oh. He's covering up.
He got back up.
Nice. He's gotten pretty good at covering up, I find. Every time you think he's dying, he's mostly just blocking the shots on his arm.
True.
He's hurt, though. He's still back. I mean, on the ground, not so much on the feet.
Right. But he's definitely in trouble if Volkov can tag him again here. He's got to survive the round, and then maybe with a minute to recover, he'd be okay. But if he gets clipped again, it's dangerous. And Volkov knows it, too. He's stalking him. Oh, right hand's in a knee.
Oh, man. He is so tall and so big. Like, it doesn't take a lot of effort for him to get that knee up there.
No, he can close that distance super fast. And Overeem just winged one out there that had no chance. And now Volkov's starting to use the leg kicks. I was calling for that. Like, break down those wheels. If you don't want to take the chance of Overeem clobbering you, slow him down. Kick that lead leg.
I'm still not willing to have this be an indicator of how this fight's going to go in the long run, because we saw Overeem with Sakai as well as with Rosenstrike until quite literally the last second. He can go 5 rounds, and he gets better over time.
Yeah, Overeem has learned how to.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, this is not Overeem's round, but there's a lot of fight left to go.
And the first usually isn't these days.
No. But that 10-9 easily for Volkov, borderline to a 10-8. Because he had Overeem in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I want to think a little bit about if I'm calling that a 10-9 or 10-8. We saw it'll be interesting to see what happens should this make like the 4th round, because we saw what happened to Volkov against Derek Lewis when he started sort of getting tired and lazy with his stand-up. And
Derek Lewis has that one-punch knockout power where if you get any kind of lazy and he clips you, you're done. And I think Overeem has that too. Overeem definitely has that one good shot punch. It only takes one from him.
I think I'm going to go 10-8. I'll give that to him. 10-8.
Yeah.
He got dropped, but beyond that, there wasn't a time where I'm like, oh, this fight's about to get stopped.
Colby says he got dropped against Walt Harris too.
That's true.
Yeah. And there was a point in that fight where I thought it should have been stopped when Harris dropped him, and I couldn't believe they let it continue.
There's some blood coming down the bridge of the nose there.
Mm-hmm. Right away, Volkov is working that left hand, and he's finding it. He's targeting. Oh, yeah. That's crisp.
Derek Lewis just chimed in on Twitter and called it a draw.
Man, if I'm Overeem, I don't want to keep taking shots like that.
That was a nice 2-1 from Volkov.
Yeah, this is some great handwork that he's doing. It's whoever has got his sparring to this level,
Yeah, I was about to say, you're going to start seeing Overeem commit to some takedown attempts more, at least close the distance.
Right. He doesn't want to stand at range and take those shots.
No. Ooh. Nice straight again.
Mm-hmm. And I love how Volkov is not just throwing one shot most of the time. No. Even if they don't all connect, he's using combos.
And he's being mindful of his output here. Like, he's not throwing them with a lot of power. He's just sort of pitter-pattering. And they're big boys, right? Like, they can afford to throw at half strength and still have it do meaningful damage. Oh, that one stumbled him. That one really stumbled over him.
Yeah, that's a testament to what you're saying, is he doesn't need to have full power to hurt him.
Oh, I think he's hurt him. He turned his back.
Yeah. Oh,
don't throw a leg kick right now over him.
We are getting a lot of leniency here. Yeah, there's going to be a point here where they're not going to let him keep taking shots like that.
Yeah, I mean, to give him some credit, his defense his blocking is pretty good. Like, a lot of the shots against the fence aren't landing.
Right, but when you see the ones that wobble him, it only takes one to get through.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. He's on his knees.
That's it. It's over.
Wow, Volkov was
that's a statement.
Calm and collected.
That is a statement win for Alexander Volkov. Jeez. Now I think we know where he stands in the heavyweight division. He just proved it.
So, he said this was his last, real campaign for a world title. If that's off the table, so to speak, is this his last fight?
I don't know what Overeem has left to prove at this point in his career. I think after a performance like that, he can call it a day and say, I've been at the top of the game. I've beaten the biggest names in the sport. What am I going to do now? It's not like I'm going to make another run to the top after this.
That's it. Okay. Wow. I'm going to, as we wrap up here, I'm going to point to Sean Sheehan on Twitter, who says, tonight was the end for two legends of the sport. Whether they stop fighting or not, MMA is the most unforgiving sport of sports. Yeah, man, rough night for the legends, but silver lining for Clay Guida there.
Yeah, one legend survived.
Tough night. Okay, guys, I think we're gonna start wrapping up the stream. We can wait until the official decision, but I mean, we know what happened. Mm-hmm. Steve, as we start to wrap up here, kind of give me your impressions. What really stood out for you on the main card?
Well, I think we've already heard it from the social media feed that you just read, but I'll reiterate it. It was a passing of the torch from legends to up-and-coming fighters. We're seeing Cory Sandhagen take over the bantamweight division by knocking off Frankie Edgar. We're seeing Alexander Volkov leap to the upper threshold of the heavyweight division by taking out Alistair Overeem. It's a changing of the guard in two weight classes with two pioneers going down.
Facts. All right. That is that, folks. Rough time for both Frankie Edgar and Alistair Overeem. I'd like to see Frankie go out with a win. It'd be nice for Overeem too, but I don't think he's got anything to be ashamed of at this point. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights.
As you would say, facts.
Yeah, I got to say hip with the kids, Steve, although I'm already starting to feel outdated. Okay, let's finish here. First and foremost, actually, let's finish here first. Steve, where can people find you? What would you like to let them know? Thank you so much for doing this. So whatever little I can give back, the floor is yours.
Well, first, I actually want to say thank you to everybody in the chat who was with us here tonight. Been a lot of fun engaging with all of you, commenting, talking, kicking it around. So I hope I can come back and do this again another time on another day. For sure. And I want to thank Shaq Fu, the Legend Reborn, for inviting me. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. And if people want to check me out, I'm on Twitter at Angry Marks. I do Bellator coverage for MMAmania.com. And I have a YouTube channel, MMF187, where I cover video games and all things not related to combat sports. So
what a nice those
are the ways to keep up on me.
All right, guys. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat. You guys are super lively tonight. Love having you here. Way more fun than just watching the fights by myself. If you haven't yet, please hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, leave a like on this video. Little things, but they really do mean the world to us. They do a lot. for helping us do what we do here at Fightful MMA. Most importantly, have a good night. Be refreshed. We got a pay-per-view headline by Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns next week. That'll be exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Peace out, y'all. Got to end with a terrible outro, so stay tuned for everything Fightful and so delightful. Peace.
Peace.